Good morning, this is the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga. Various political, religious leaders and intellectuals from Mount Kenya region are today meeting in Limuru at the famous Limuru 3 meeting to discuss various issues affecting the region. Despite the differences that have been witnessed among Mount Kenya leaders over the meeting, the organizers insist that today's meeting will be used to discuss issues affecting residents either politically, economically and even in terms of development. Jubilee Party Secretary General Jeremiah Kioni, Kenya's leader Martha Karua and former Laikipia Governor Nderitu Muriithi have in the past been organizers of Limuru 1 and Limuru 2.
We are set to go for Limuru 3.
We are quite orderly and we think that that's the way politics and political discourse should be conducted.
The government has got nothing to do with this meeting. This is a people's meeting.
Despite the meeting set to proceed, Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru and the majority leader Kimani Ichung'wah have opposed the meeting, describing it as tribal and not productive, as it has failed to acknowledge Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, who is currently the leader with the highest rank in the region.
Hao wenye wanazunguka wakisema sijui Limuru 3, Limuru 2, sisi tunawaambia sasa wakati ambapo tuko kazini. Na siasa, wakati wa siasa itakuja. Wakati wa kupanga siasa itafika.
Kama hujatosheka na hiyo serikali, enda uga hapo huko kando. Ama ungojea miaka mitatu, enda uga serikali yako. Na uge na wale utaweza, na wale tunataka kuingia na William, tumuingize tena.
The planners of Limuru 3 are the remnants of Mount Kenya who have not accepted a William Ruto presidency.
However, Public Service CS Moses Kuria has had a change of mind concerning his attendance, accusing Jubilee Secretary Jeremiah Kioni of rejecting his request to be present at the meeting.
You know, I don't know why you're asking me about my boss, because he's my boss. But because you have asked, and I'm never one to hide, I don't agree with him. Because we were elected by the people to solve their issues. If Mother Karawa calls me to her house today, I'll go. Or Jeremiah Kioni, with respect, you know. You don't have to come to me. And solutions of this problem, of this country, they have got no forwarding address. I think you find a problem, pelekea nani. Hii nchi iko na mashida mingi. We need all of us. You can't tell me that you find the problem, come and see me. Who are you? Tunataka one man one vote. Na tuko na nafasi ya to solve those issues. Who are we telling to solve those issues? I think it's hypocritical. There are people who are sponsoring it. Now, I know somebody who has put 10 million on it. And I want to tell people who are attending Limuru 3, please don't go home hungry.
It should be remembered that the Limuru 2 meeting in 2012 reached the resolutions of retired President Uhuru Kenyatta to run for the presidency with President William Ruto as his running mate. MPs have now raised issues about why the office of the president needs 7.9 billion shillings for salaries and additional services in the 2024-2025 financial year. Parliament's Security Committee has also raised questions about the use of 1.55 billion shillings to complete State House renovations in Nairobi, Eldoret, Mombasa, Kakamega, Kisii and Mtito Andei. State House Comptroller Katu Olemetito has also defended the budget, admitting the increase in funds will assist in payment of salaries.
We have had an expanded mandate as State House because more often than not, the head of state always issues executive orders, giving expanded mandates to several departments, especially State House.
Members of Parliament led by the chairman of the committee, Gabriel Tongonyo, have said they don't understand why State House wants to allocate a lot of money to issues that are not fundamental at a time when the budgets of other departments have been reduced.
The president is the vision holder for the country. Really, you can imagine advisors alone 1.something billion. Is there something in helping the president to lead the country better? Resources being constrained.
It would be good that instead of asking for that little extra that you're asking, kindly be considerate of all the other departments and Kenyans and just make do with what you have.
The Office of the Deputy President has already confirmed sending requests for 400 million shillings in the budget for the financial year 2024-2025 to buy new cars and renovate the Harambee Annex Office, as well as the residence of the Deputy President in Karen, Nairobi and Mombasa. That's the News Wire. I'm Lea Ubaga.
.5 SpiceFM, Kisumu.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Good morning, and I love your show.
Thank you.
Having come from a Kikuyu radio background, I migrated to Spice because of the content.
I was born in a slum, but somehow I got a break in life. So sometimes when you see the sweating coming out because of the passion and whatever it is, behind the noise, there are people. And we share the same umbilical cord.
It shouldn't be like that. I am so disappointed. We used to tell Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga that he's doing politics of conmanship. And even President Uhuru Kenyatta, serikali hii ndio iko na conmanship ya hali ya juu. You cannot promise people that you reduce tax, then you double.
In politics, there is the issue of trust. For you to turn around and then stab the same people who gave you that trust, there is no other level of dishonesty. And hii mambo utaona dunia tu.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Revenge is for children. It's for kids. When you grow up, you realize the best revenge you can take on somebody is to ignore them.
Now I'm just new in politics. It is not everybody's cup of tea. That's why some people come in one term and that's it for them.
Political parties in this country do not have ideologies, whether luring or otherwise.
And that is the effect of corruption.
Any time an offense occurs anywhere in the country, it is the job of the Inspector General to look into it. Whether it's corruption, whether it's murder, whether it's petty, that is his job.
If we have chosen to be a corrupt nation, then we produce corrupt leaders. Everything then becomes chaotic that you cannot be able to change a nation.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Good morning, Mambo Iko Vipi, Mambo Iko like this. On the road this morning, nothing is happening. Well, it's rained overnight, so you can imagine that because it's rained overnight, then it will be chaotic through the morning. So be careful what road you're choosing to use this morning, how it was last night, whether it was flooded, whether there's still some flood waters on the road this morning. Just be careful. But of course, you know, as of now, nothing major to report.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Good morning, and how are you doing at 10 minutes after 6? Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation. This is the Situation Room. How are you doing? How was your day yesterday? So Nairobi, the rain is back. Or, well, the rain decided just to do one lap yesterday. Way. It was heavy, it was sudden, and it led to untold suffering in some areas because some roads were flooded, right? So because of that, then we actually saw huge impact in terms of traffic snarl-ups, some people staying long hours on the road just because of that traffic. So let us then look at what the day shall look like. I will tell you what we shall discuss. Today is Friday. Welcome to Friday. It's the 17th day of May 2024. Shortly we'll be getting into June. The financial year will be over. A new financial year will begin, and we'll be spending more money to sustain these people. Okay. Let me not be negative. It's a Health Friday. So for our Health Friday conversation today, we want to talk about health tech and what happens in health tech and how it's improving access to healthcare in the country and in the region. We'll be joined by Nyeri Njero. Nyeri is Regional Director and Market Access Leader for Africa at a company called Hologic. She'll come and tell us what Hologic is all about, what they do, but I can tell you they're involved in the health sector and they have tech expertise. So you can guess how that goes. And then at 8 o'clock, we have something that's happening at the Standard Group Center today, all right? And this is a motor show, just in the run-up to the motor show that will be happening later in this month. And we'll be joined by a number of people. Some people from Subaru. There's Charles Law, from Jared Subaru, Oriel Gong Road Branch Manager, Charles Law. He's been here before. We'll see if he joins us again. Then from Jack Kenya, the sales manager is called Vincent Mara. And we also have Andrew Evans Omolo, who's the ECTA Group Sales and Marketing Manager. Those will be joining us for this conversation at 8 o'clock. 9 o'clock, the road to Paris Olympics. Imagine this is 2024. In the summer, we'll be having the Olympic Games in Paris, France, and we'll be joined by the Team Kenya bosses. Now, the CEO of Team Kenya, the Team Kenya Paris Olympics CEO, is Wanjiru Karani. Wanjiru is also the Vice President of the African Tennis Federation. She's been in this sporting field for a while. Now she's been given this job of being the CEO of the Secretariat that prepares Kenya for the Paris Olympics. How's it going to be this time? How are they preparing? She'll come and tell us. She will be joined by Francis Mutuku, who's the Secretary General of the National Olympics Committee. So the National Olympics Committee, we know every country has an Olympic committee. The National Olympics Committee Secretary General is Francis Mutuku, and then Wanjiru Karani is the CEO of the Secretariat that's putting together all the plans to take our team to the Paris Games, make sure that our team is comfortable so that then that team can go and do the gold things. This time, we want to see more goals. Number one, marathon is inside. 3,000 meter steeplechase. There's that guy, Bwana. He just came from out of nowhere and he just started doing things. And we don't want him to do that again. The Belgian. But this time, tutachapa yeye chest na sisi. At 100 meters. We just lost the qualification mark for the relay. And that was unfortunate in the relay games that were happening in Bahamas. Was it earlier this month or late last month? One of those.
Is there no opportunity to try it again?
For 2028.
Okay. That gives you enough time.
That gives you enough time to build up again. How are you doing, City?
Very well, thank you.
Yes. Mambo iko vipi? Iko poa?
Mari Daddy, the rains are with us. Yes, the trials and tribulations that come with the rain.
Yeah.
Yes.
Imagine.
Flooding everywhere.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Anyway, It's good to see you, though.
It's good to see you too, Eric.
Yeah. The live stream is up. Is it? Yes. Yeah. Where? Ednah. Tuko. Very good. Tuko. Even on Facebook. Tuko. So everybody who's online, let's know where you're tuned in from this morning, and then we shall do the thing that we normally do, which is acknowledge your presence and your shout outs to everybody else who's joined online. Let me take this opportunity to tell you how the weather is going to look like across the country and some major cities of the globe shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your The weather with SpiceFM.
Nairobi, clear skies for now at 16 degrees. Expect highs of 24 and lows of 15. Kakamega, clear skies at 19 at present. Mombasa, mostly clear at 24. Malindi, mostly clear at 27. Kisumu, clear at 21. London, let's not go to London first. Nakuru, clear at 15. Nyeri, clear at 16. Eldoret, clear at 13. That's very cold. It's as cold as Johannesburg, which is in winter mode, and at 13 degrees Celsius. Lagos, 25, mostly cloudy. Mogadishu, sunny at 27. Addis Ababa, sunny at 14. Kampala, Uganda, mostly clear at 19. Kinshasa, partly cloudy at 25. Dar es Salaam, mostly clear at 24. And then Paris, mostly cloudy at 9. New York, mostly cloudy at 16. London, cloudy at 12. And Beijing, sunny at 28.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Watu wako online city
kabisa,
na ni wengi.
Sinatakana namna hiyo.
Watu wengi sana. Number 40 people's clarion call. 40 people. Watu wengi sana. That was Simeon Nyacha's party. Peter Carrier, good morning from Mombasa. Nyota njema huonekana asubuhi. Haya, ama siku njema ni sawa. Arthur Wanjama, nani anatokea Limuru 3? Oh, ni leo. Limuru 3 is today.
Limuru 3.
Limuru 3. One Mike, good morning and happy Friday, Situation Room from Baltimore, Maryland. Hasora kuonyesha wajiko dust. Joseph Mokua, good morning. Team Situation Room from Rile, Marsabit County. Kiongozi Omosh, good morning. Lucky Sama is tuned in. Blue Muonambali, good morning. Spice Crew, thank God it's Friday. He's tuned in from Toronto. Evans Ntabo, good morning. Eric City Ndu Nyaboke. Yego is away. Is Yego?
Yes, Yuko.
Yego is away. Yego is taking some days off. Haya, tuombe sana hii tax isipite. Isipopita. Oh. Jimmy Morodhi, good morning. Did it rain last night? Well, yeah, depends where. Jonathan Guta says Moses Kuria is a vibe. Robin Bogo, good morning from Mombasa. Rose Grace, good morning Spice Team. You're doing a good job from Tamu, Kisumu County. Agri Momanyi, habari leo ndio ile sela. Ile siku, by the way. Ni ile siku. But now this sound is not connected. Buana. You know what day it is today, Susie? Hold on.
It's Friday. A couple left. Sio ni huko ndio left. Kwani unafikiri left iko wapi?
Anyway. Leo ni ile siku. Ilikuwa tarehe 17 mwezi wa 5. That's freshly Mwamburi akakipata. This is the day Stella came back.
This is the day Stella came back?
From Japan.
Stella alirudi?
Stella alirudi.
Afanya jambo la maana sana.
Hii leo. Aliporudi,
Stella
akapata Stella, freshly Mwamburi amemsubiri pale wapi? Uwanja wa ndege. Stella akashuka kwenye ndege. Huku ameshika mtoto mkononi.
Basi.
Nyuma yake kuna jamaa Mjapanisi.
Bwana we.
Mfupi futi 5. It was this day today when that thing happened. Imagine, it was this day today. Let's see if Ednah will be able to get that one. All right. Thank you for reminding us that story. Leo, good morning. Eric City and Ednah, a grateful nation, wishes to thank its politicians for cutting budget on its key sectors and renovating the dilapidated residences and office. Oh yeah, actually, that's a very thoughtful government, isn't it? Right? Cut the budget on roads, cut the budget on health,
cut the budget on school feeding.
Yes. And then put some money on renovation. It's important. Yeah.
Getting your priorities right.
Imeingia kidogo lakini sasa imetoka. Imepotea kutoka
Japan.
Ednah cheza nayo. See, it replays nothing. Kiongozi Obosh says, can they look for Maverick Okoh, the activist? She's typically the female version of Miguna. So why do we want to have Miguna on the show? Or Maverick? Anyway, we'll look for Maverick Okoh one of these days. Anyway, Kennedy Anyona, good morning, guys. It's so painful, Maze. Painful, man. Nur Abdullah, good morning from Stockholm. Jesse Kevin Kamau, good morning from Barwesa, Baringo. There's a place in Baringo called Barwesa.
So we now know.
Sounds like, it's a name that would be northeastern. Oh, it's because I'm thinking of Hargeisa. So Barwesa.
Yes.
Okay. It's actually possible. Okay. Dennis Nyakiriga, good morning from Seattle. Waiting for the wise word of the day. Kennedy Anyona, Stella kurudi Kenya kutoka Japan, ndio ile siku kama leo. Mtete, good morning. Tuned in from Gong Hills as usual. Everybody who's online, welcome. Including those who are tuned in on Facebook. And they're also saying good morning. Midhamo Wandundu, Karibu. MCR, James Kimanzi from Ngeloni, Keleteni, Mwingi in Kitwe County is inside. Morning Spice team listening from Chiga in Kisumu County. That's Wycliffe Juma. Hiya. City?
Yes, please.
Give us the day's proverb.
Yes. What has gone through the ear has gone right in.
What has gone through the ear has gone right in.
Yes. This is our final proverb from the Republic of Malawi.
What has gone right through the ear has
What has gone through the ear
has gone right in.
Yes.
Imeingia. Sawa. Let's look at the headlines. We have the Standard for now. We'll get into the others shortly. For now, let me tell you what's on the front page of the Standard. TSC threatens to sack striking intern teachers. You know those JS teachers? Junior secondary. They were hired as interns. And they were told they were going to be absorbed.
They were told they were going to be absorbed.
Into PNP.
Yes.
Now they have said, we are not going to class until we are absorbed into PNP and get into permanent and pensionable terms. And the TSC is like, you people, can you go back to class or we fire you?
Stop joking with us. Give you a job, and instead of showing gratitude, you're bringing
Coop Bank profit rises to 6.6 billion shillings. This bank is really profitable. The Cooperative Bank of Kenya. Yeah? But remember the conversation that we had with the CEO of Stima Sacco. Many of the transactions that you conduct, banking transactions that you conduct with your Sacco, will go through an intermediary called a regulated commercial bank. Now, many cooperative societies will therefore bank with a cooperative bank. Cooperative bank. Remember, you asked the question. When they declare profits,
do they declare ile pesa mbamba?
Is it?
Yes, that's what they do.
Hiya. Why DP Gachagua is coming under attack. The Deputy President has lately been in the eye of a political storm, with a section of Mount Kenya leaders questioning his loyalty to the government and criticizing his push for 1 man, 1 shilling, 1 vote revenue sharing formula, saying he was right at the heart of government. Second day now that in this week that the Standard is doing a Gachagua headline, right? Ready to rumble, Biden-Trump debate face-off. The US President Joe Biden and his fiercest rival Donald Trump have agreed to hold election debates in June and September, with rivals trading barbs about their first on-stage meeting in nearly 4 years. This one will be a nice one. Let's see if the Donald will be contained on that stage.
Donald, you know how you're told that in this particular vehicle, can do 0 to 60 in 4 seconds. Donald starts at 60.
Donald does not do 0 to 60. No.
He starts at 60
upwards.
Then he continues.
Hiya. The other headline here is Death of ANC, not African National Congress, which is having some stiff competition in the South African elections. Wait, by the way, those ones are others to watch, eh?
My friend.
The elections in South Africa.
Ile mbio imekuja.
This is one election where it's not clear who's going to be the winner.
Actually, yes, because ANC has gently but very surely been losing grip on numbers.
Yeah.
Now, an election then shows you whether those numbers were actually lost for real.
And then there's a man called Jacob Zuma. He's back in it, man.
Jacob.
And he never said die.
He never said die. After all, he has things to prove. He said he was innocent. Yes.
Anyway, so the ANC that we're referring to here in this story is the Amani National Congress. Mudavadi, UDA in a deal to fold the party. ANC is headed to the political party's graveyard, and its officials will be incorporated into President Ruto's UDA and others given government jobs. It has emerged as Prime CS Musalia Mudavadi is set to join UDA without any conditions. So, see, Musalia can join UDA, but the party remains.
He could, but you see, the point is not Musalia joining. It's Musalia and the party joining. Because, for instance, if let's say at the time we're talking about what? When the National Development Party joined the KANU. Raila going to KANU would have made no difference. You needed to move with everything. Yes, yes. Lock, stock, and barrel, as they say.
Yes. Why? The big headline in the Standard this morning: Ruto to splurge 1.6 billion shillings on state houses and lodges. A day after his deputy's high spending plans in the face of dire economic hardships facing Kenyans were revealed, President William Ruto's team targets to spend 1.56 billion shillings to renovate state houses and state lodges as lawmakers criticize the 7.93 billion shillings recurrent expenditure as too high. So basically, State House has a recurrent expenditure of 7.9 billion shillings a year. 7.9, let's just say call it 8. 8 billion shillings is spent on recurrent expenditure. Recurrent is what? Mshahara hapa na pale.
Vitu ambazo zinafanya kila siku.
Stima hapa na pale.
Yes.
Maji. Nini. And then on top of that, they want to spend 1.6 billion shillings to refurbish 3 state houses, 6 state lodges, and the completion of civil works in this financial year. Must it happen this year?
You know the thing that I find amazing, we are a poor country. Okay?
No doubt.
No, we are a poor country. If we're not a poor country, we wouldn't have people living in Madare. We would not have people living along the banks of a river. We would not have people living in situations that even they know are risky. All the things we keep seeing, whose underbelly these floods have brought to the fore, we wouldn't be seeing these things. So, as a poor country, can we actually afford to spend this sort of money in the way we're spending it?
Well, clearly, our leaders think we can. So if you add the 1.6 billion for renovating State House and State Lodges, then you add 2.1 billion for renovating Karen and Harambee Annex.
2.6.
Basically, we are spending over 4 billion shillings on renovations.
Again, if we had the money, we had oil gushing out of every corner of the country, Gold now being mined, even as you walk, every stone you trip on is gold, okay? By all means, this budget would be okay. But when the bulk of our citizenry live in very precarious circumstances, even if you live in a house that wasn't flooded, you have a problem of even finding a meal a day. Forget these 3 meals a day stuff. A meal a day, okay? you're not certain whether your children can go to school. And now that this going to school is being threatened by withdrawal of the feeding program, I mean, it's one problem piled on top of another and then another and another. Amidst all this, by the way, these renovations are not supposed to take place in a year. If you read it, it's supposed to be spread over a period of time.
Yep.
But still, the optics are horrible.
You can defer some things. Let me read the story. The 1.558 billion shillings is part of a 12-year, 11.5 billion shilling plans by the government to refurbish 3 state houses in Nairobi, Mombasa and Nakuru, as well as 6 state lodges and completion of 4 other civil works within the facilities. According to documents tabled before the National Assembly Committee on Administration and Internal Security, the implementation of the 13 projects began in July 2015 and is expected to be completed by June 30th, 2027. In this coming financial year, 250 million shillings has been set aside for refurbishment of buildings at Nairobi State House, 50 million shillings for purchase of specialized plant, equipment and machinery, 100 million shillings for the purchase of ICT, networking and communication equipment, and a further 500 million for civil works. At Mombasa State House, 240 million shillings has been allocated for refurbishment of a fence. Let me repeat. Mombasa State House, 240 million shillings has been allocated for refurbishment of a fence and the main state house, while Nakuru is getting 200 million shillings towards refurbishment of the buildings at the Nakuru State Lodge. The president is also keen in renovating state lodges, starting with Eldoret State Lodge, where refurbishment of buildings will cost 125 million. Sagana State Lodge, where 35 million shillings for refurbishment will be spent. Kisumu State Lodge, 14.9 million shillings. Kakamega State Lodge, Mtito Andei has been allocated 5 million shillings. 19 million will be spent on Kisii State Lodge. There are also plans to spend 4.8 on the state mechanical garage in Kiambu and Roiro. So all this money basically is part of, a project that began in 2015 to complete in 2027.
And when it began, the budget...
It was the same. It was an 11.5 billion shillings budget.
Again,
broken down into phases.
Let me repeat again. The optics are bad.
You see, like now, we've already started renovating State House Nairobi.
Yes, we have.
And the president has now become a squatter in the State House land, in other parts, right? So if we don't allocate money this year, what does it mean? That project now stays like that on hold for a whole year.
Let me repeat again. There is nothing wrong with renovations. Optics, Baba. Optics, okay?
Yeah.
And surely, does it harm the government to tell us, look, this state house, the dilapidated state in which we find it is blah, 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 structural, this, the other roofs, blah, 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 leaking, blah, blah, blah. And this, surely we can't have the president residing in a place that is leaking. That one we all understand and know. When you talk amounts and you specify and say it is spread again, and then at the same time we're talking about tightening our belts, what that means is you do with a bare minimum. If that's what we've done, then let's say so. We've done the bare minimum. And say this is exactly what it is. Let me repeat again. The optics, given the dire times in which we live, is not good. Yes.
That's the issue.
Yes.
It's not good. Let's take a break. Let's take a look at traffic, and then we look at other headlines as well. It's 26 minutes to 7. This is Kenya's biggest conversation.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Yeah. Usual places. It's doing the usual thing that it normally does, which is on Thika Superhighway coming to town, where it begins, and Muthaiga Road, not Muthaiga, but Kiambu Road coming to town, Jogoo Road into town, Outer Ring Road into the junctions with North Airport Road, and then North Airport Road as well with that junction with Outer Ring Road. Those are the only areas where I'm actually looking and seeing some bit of a traffic red on the map. But other than that, nothing. Okay, well, Kangundo Road, iko kitu inaendelea hapa around the Mama Lucy Kibaki Hospital and coming into Deliverance Church Umoja, that route, there's something. But, well, tell us if you find anything that is worthy of mention. Tag us on X at SpiceFM KE.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
All right. Other headlines in the papers. Many stories. Look at one, City.
Senator Kihika Senators to grill, not Senator Kihika. Senators to grill Kihika over War Memorial today. Remember the saga around the War Memorial Hospital in Nakuru?
Yes.
At a glance, let me just say, 2 judges have withdrawn from hearing the land case. Okay? Jointly, the hospital management and land officials face over 23 counts. 6 orders directing reopening of the hospital have been disobeyed. 6. Orders were issued on October 31st, 2023, November 2nd, 2023, January 23rd, 25th, and 30th, and so forth and so forth. The county government first takeover the hospital was in October 27th, 2023. Second was in January 22nd, 2024. Kwani goons raided the hospital on February 1st, 2024. Okay? The hospital and county government are fighting over land lease. Senators want the governor to explain herself on this matter. Nakuru Governor Susan Kihika is expected before the Senate's Standing Committee on Health today over the closure of the War Memorial Hospital. The hospital, standing on a 25-acre land in posh Milimani Estate, was closed on January 23rd over land lease row between its management and the county government. It has remained closed despite several court orders directing it to be reopened. So Senator has told the governor, Madam Governor, please come, please explain.
Explain yourself.
Yes, what is this hoo-ha? And how is it that court orders are being disobeyed and we see nothing happening?
So what do they expect that to get out of this thing? So they'll summon the governor, okay. Then they'll hear, okay. And then?
Sticking the box. Senate cannot be seen not to have done anything about it.
Meanwhile, how is the hospital open? It's closed.
Yeah.
For those many months, the very many people who would have been...
who would have benefited. And right now, given the situation that we're in, that hospital and its opening is a very, very necessary thing. But then, yes.
But what we get is, it's a hospital that's closed.
Can you imagine? But this is a very old hospital and it's a very good hospital. There are things that are not puzzling. Because we know what's at the heart of this. You don't need an insider to tell you, do you know, hey, what's actually happening? No, it's clear. It's very, very clear. So the people of Nakuru are being disadvantaged, are being put in harm's way simply because somebody has decided they want that land.
Yeah.
That's simple.
That's it. That is it.
And when they get there, where are they going to take this land? So it's just going to remain where it is.
I wonder, so they'll bring down the facilities of the hospital?
What are they going to
open their own hospital? I mean, what
are they going to do? Build blocks of flats? 25 acres is a lot of land, we understand, but what are you going to do with it? It's public land.
You know, the fact that the matter has actually taken this long.
Yes.
And the senators are now are going to have a sitting with the governor today.
Good, you've gotten there. I mean, you remember the thing that I found absolutely demonic. Patients were being removed from hospital wards, Chief.
Yeah.
You are sick, you're in hospital, you're being forcibly removed. My
Someone
goodness.
comes and switches off the oxygen machine.
Yes. Hey, man.
And then the matter just goes and
it just fizzled.
The guys who know this they've studied Kenyans. They know Ikitu. Shut it down.
Yep.
Once it's shut down, once there are no people who are agitating, we'll run with it.
Yes.
This Senate bananas, it could actually just be
window dressing.
Yeah, just a window dressing. Just one of those things.
Let's show that this thing hasn't quite gone under and that it's not quite forgotten.
It's still there.
It's still there. And we, the Senate, are questioning this thing. We want to go to the bottom of it. Bottom of it, wapi? Which month are we in? We're in May, are we not?
We're in May.
So all these intervening months, what have you been doing?
We're coming to the end of
May. Yes.
May, and then June, and then bus. Anyway. The teacher's employer has threatened to sack intern teachers who have failed to report to work since schools reopened for second term. The Teacher Service Commission said it will on Friday get attendance report from all schools to inform disciplinary action against those who absconded duty. Appearing before the National Assembly Committee on Education, TSC Legal Affairs Director Kevin Onyor said the disciplinary action will be based on the attendance records collected by school heads. He said the records will be received at the TSC head office today. The development comes days after the intern teachers vowed to stay put even as their employer directed them to go back to class. Emboldened by the support from KUPPET, the teachers announced elaborate plans to intensify the demonstration starting next week. The Secretary General of the Kenya Junior Secondary Teachers Association, Daniel Mureithi, said communication from TSC urging them to resume work will not sway their resolve. The fact that TSC has responded requesting you to go back to school means reports have reached them that the majority are not going back to school. The fact that they are requesting you to go back tells you that they can't replace 46,000 teachers even if they want. I wanted to say even if what?
Same thing. Same thing.
Yeah? Now, this one is another standoff. So these are 46,000 teachers who were employed. I wonder...
You know what I find amazing? What is it about people in authority? Why must you resort to these threats? Huh? We will sack you. I mean, for heaven's sake.
So this is what TSC is saying. TSC is saying, actually, us guys, our main issue is budgetary allocation. Would need 30 billion shillings to absorb all these intern teachers permanently. And so it's saying we propose a phased approach, absorbing 26,000 interns in January 2025. We'll need 8.3 billion shillings for the absorption of the first cohort alone. This comes after a fraction of the nearly 60,000 intern teachers boycotted teaching when schools reopened.
You know, we're hearing this thing. What's come to the fore is at the tail end of it, when people have already decided to down their tools. What has happened in the interim? Because this thing, you don't just wake up. We have an example that is not in the too distant past with the doctors. By the time the doctors were saying, look, this is what we're going to do, they didn't wake up and decide this is what we're going to do. A lot had happened in between. And the very decision that were arrived at after all this pain and people dying, that those discussions could have taken place earlier. Why didn't they take place earlier? You know, you actually begin to believe, because when these union people come to the studio and they tell you, the language this government understands, it's not just this one, governments understand, is strike. For heaven's sake, must it be the way? Because right now, if there are no teachers in school, again, some of the most vulnerable members of society are having their futures tinkered with. Now,
you know, these are some of the teachers who are hired. Remember, the president said we're going to hire teachers.
Yes.
Okay. So 46,000 teachers were hired.
Those are very many teachers.
For junior school.
Yes.
46,000 teachers are very many. So they were hired on an interim basis.
They were.
And that's where the internship comes in. They're not interning.
No, they're not.
They are serving, what's that thing called?
It's called probation.
That one. Sort of like a probation or like a short-term contract and this and the other. The question is, at that point when they were being hired, was this communication clear? That we're hiring you on this, it's going to be an X contract for X period, not permanent and pensionable, and then you will gradually be absorbed as we progress. Because what you hear also from those striking teachers is them saying that they are aware of some members of parliament who are issuing the PMP letters
to
some people. So
some people are
there are
getting.
some people who are getting the PNP letters. And the method being followed to get them into PNP and others not is not clear.
At the very best, it's opaque.
So I think this is where now the issue comes in. Like, okay, why not just communicate properly and tell these intern teachers, okay, so this is what we are doing, or let it come from the ministry. This is what the plan is. We are going to take 26,000 teachers, 46,000 teachers. All right, we shall then progressively absorb them into the mainstream because we need teachers. We have a shortage of teachers in our schools. We do have that. Even when SRC was conducting the meeting the other day on salaries, they actually said there are some areas where we are way short of our ratios. We need teachers, we need doctors, we need policemen, we need these people, and we need to hire them. So now, if the government says it will require 8.3 billion shillings to absorb the first cohort of teachers, and this can then happen after the budget is passed so that then they can be absorbed come January next year, you're like, all right, can you get another 8,000 billion shillings, 8.3 billion shillings to absorb an extra cohort? Maybe you could if you actually do not go and repair these state houses. Or if you suspend some parts, some works in this. Is there no expenditure that can actually be foregone so that we make sure that junior secondary children are getting
believe me, the expenditures we can forgo. They always are. Believe me, they always are. Yes. Because when you say you have a budget and you're saying this is a budget for a year, some of those projects are yet to be initiated.
Yeah.
And we are doing without them. I mean, this isn't rocket science. If there was a will to get this thing done, it would have been done. You know, the question that then comes to mind is something that you've always raised, and it revolves around something very fundamental. It's called an honest conversation. By the time these teachers live in this country, they are born in this country.
Yeah.
By that, it's not that they don't know that the government has a problem with money. They do. Okay? And it's also not that they are deaf to the point where they can't hear what they're being told. They can hear and they can understand.
Yep.
Some of the most reasonable people you can come across are people who teach.
Yep.
Given what the nature of the job is. So are you telling me that all reason, all logic could not prevail, and so one has to now resort to these threats?
Even before you even have a conversation with these teachers and tell them to wait and do this and the other, I mean, let's all have an honest conversation with ourselves. We have an expenditure problem.
Yes, we do.
This is our problem. We seem to have some, political priorities or some money minting priorities in our expenditure.
Yes, and they override everything else.
Because you'll find, actually, when the president says that we are cutting back on spending, you will go to some offices and you will feel the cutback on spending. There are offices in government where there is actually proper reduction in spending. They'll tell you, we'd like, for example, to attend a certain meeting, and where we were preparing for this, we've been working on this for 3-4 years, but because of budget cuts, we cannot participate in this particular.
Yes.
Because of budget cuts, we were supposed to be doing this by this time, but budget cuts have said now we are not, we pause, we're halting this, we are halting the other. So if you go into some ministries and you're told we were progressing with a certain project, but we've halted it because of budget cuts, and then you hear that we cannot do budget cuts, or we cannot halt the refurbishment of state houses and state lodges. When is the last time, how often does the president spend time in Mtitwandei State Lodge?
Yeah. Just so that we know. Or Voi State Lodge. Yeah, when? How often? When was the last time you heard of any president, for that matter, even stopping there?
Kisii State Lodge. How often does the president go and spend time at the Kisii State Lodge?
We have a president and a deputy who travel by chopper. Okay? There are no traffic jams.
Yeah.
Okay?
They can go and come back.
Same day.
Well, you could argue that the president is now spending time. It's okay. There's a Nakuru state house.
Bro.
If you're operating in the entire Rift Valley and Nyanza, you can do.
By the way, that state lodge in Nyanza was refurbished a long time ago in the Uhuru time.
Bas.
So you don't need to refurbish it again. It's been
you
refurbished.
Can look and say, so if we are moving, if the president is in this region, Where can he stay without having to?
Their focal points.
Operate here.
Yes. We don't need to be pointing out the things that can be done.
Sagana State Lodge is just here. He can even drive.
What, and come back to Nakuru, come back to Nairobi?
Yeah. He can drive every day. Go there, spend time, drive back.
After all,
we have a dual carriage.
When the head of state drives, there is no traffic jam. Jam is removed.
And then, okay, the deputy president, those two expenditures, you ask yourself, this versus my child staying for 2 weeks after schools open, for a week, for a month after schools open, and not getting a teacher in the class. And then I'm seeing that you are buying new carpets for an office.
Eric, remember there was a year when these students didn't have teachers. Remember?
Yeah.
Started trickling in. You find one teacher. So
Last year.
What is one teacher supposed to do?
The grade 7 teachers.
Yes.
Grade 7 kids went an entire term.
Yes.
Without teaching.
Yes. And now you want to hamper their learning yet again because of this. Man. It's. Yesterday I remember there was some, this a certain horn that is characteristic of some high-ranking officials. It goes, a guzzler. In the middle, another guzzler. Behind it, another guzzler. And you're thinking, okay, you're saying protection. Who is threatening your life?
This is the minister now with 3 vehicles.
Yes, I mean, who is threatening your life? Do you need all that?
Actually, does a minister really need to travel with those?
No. It's not just ministers.
I could say it's one of those days. It could be one of those days that could be targeted. You better. It's better safe than sorry.
We do not have a history of shooting high-ranking officials, Bwana.
Well, you never know. Maybe it's because they're well guarded. Maybe if you remove that, then you expose them, and then the history begins.
It's a conversation that was had with reference to some two. What do they call them? High security prisons in the US. And they were supposed to be break proof. You could not escape from these. I think one of them was called Alcatraz. Okay? And a book was written by people some who had worked there, others who had observed, and they said, it is an onerous task. Remember, the prisoner has all the time in the world to figure out how to escape. They have time on their hand. If there's one thing they have on their hand, it's time. Okay? The guards are busy manning all these people, and the people in the prison are more than the guards. So the likelihood of someone figuring out a way to escape is really very high. So there is nothing like an escape-proof prison. Somebody arrested, taken to prison, chills, escapes again.
The one that's maximum security has hardcore criminals.
Kabisa.
They have nothing to lose.
Yes.
I mean, they are wired to go for danger.
And then you put them all in one place. Just the information sharing that goes on there is profound. So when it comes to issues of security is not policemen, it's not people who have guns. Security is people in the country who feel their interests are being looked after by their government. That's security. Those are people who will feel these are people who need to stay longer because they are doing us a solid. Okay? But if you feel you're under threat, you should explain to us why you think you're under threat. There are things you have done and you know. We haven't figured it out yet, but you know.
Another story?
Yes. Let me tell you a story. Happy story, yo. I want to tell you a story. Judges lock horns over JSC post as Justice Majanja term ends. Judges embroiled in a legal battle over their representative in the Judicial Service Commission. Someone needs to explain to me why there's always a tussle here, why it's so important anyway.
Why it's important to sit in the jail.
Yes, I'd like to understand, because the sort of noise that happens.
It determines, I think, your fate. When you have your guy out there, and when you have your person in the room, at the table. JSC is not just hiring, it's also dealing with promotions, dealing with disciplinary issues, it's dealing with all those things.
His replacement is now at the heart of the split between female High Court judges and their male counterparts. Now this is interesting. The term of Justice David Majanja is coming to an end this month, May. Kenya Judges and Magistrates Association notified members that only male judges will be eligible to replace Majanja. Okay? KJM's decision was backed by the fact that Chief Magistrate Evelyn Olwande, a female, is a representative of the magistrates in commission. It claimed that it is seeking to balance the scales by restricting the upcoming election of a representative to male judges. So male judges what? Okay. However, the however comes in. Justice Jacqueline Kamau, in her case, argued that the election should be open to all. Yes. Fungua the gates. She lamented that despite expressing her interest in the position, she was unceremoniously locked out. Sister.
Gender.
Yes,
right.
Push the agenda. The petitioner said that the respondent has breached and threatens to continue violating her fundamental human rights and freedoms by the illegally and justifiably rejecting her application to contest for the position of High Court Judge Representative to the JSC, argued Kamau through her lawyers Iseme Kamau and company advocates. Justice Kamau said the notice inviting candidates to vie for Justice Majanja's replacement was sent to all. This is lovely.
Okay. Justice Kamau is a former chair of the Kenya Judges and Magistrates Association.
Tuanze hapo.
Yes. It is Judges and Magistrates Association.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I have interacted with Justice Kamau as the chair of KJMA. At that point, there was another election of a member of KJMA into the Judicial Service Commission. If my memory serves me right, and if my little understanding and my little brain got what was happening then, at that point, that election was restricted to female magistrates.
Only. Iliwekwa breki.
Yeah.
Sema it is only.
The candidates that were actually fronted were female magistrates.
And the male judges said, it's okay. Okay. So now they're saying it's our turn for us to have male only.
Yes.
Fundamental rights are an issue here, my friend. You must, if you don't understand fundamental rights, I don't know. You need to understand these things.
So I don't know whether that time it was, an agreement here that, because the person who's currently in the representing KJMA is male, then let's bring in a female. And because the person who's representing KJMA is a judge, let's bring in a magistrate, right? And that's why it was only female magistrates that were candidates. And this time also, we are seeing a judge is exiting, and we are saying that
it needs to be replaced by another judge. Let me ask the question.
Because we have a female representing KJMA, now the person who replaces the judge who's exiting needs to be a judge. But also, in the issue of balancing gender, needs to be of the opposite gender. I don't know whether it's the game playing itself like that.
This one, I think, as I said, my view on this particular matter is whenever anything involves our learned friends, it is a moment for learning. We will watch, we will read, and we will seek to understand. Because these fundamental rights and all these things will come to play, and we'll hear how these judges adjudicate themselves.
We will see.
We will see.
We'll see. I mean, what's been the practice in previous elections of KJMA representatives, into the JSC? What's been the practice? And is this practice being broken with this one? And all those questions will come to the fore. Yoyote itatokea.
UDA ride to political monolith gains pace. Pace. Talks are ongoing that will see UDA dissolve and join ANC dissolve and join UDA. I was about to say that UDA dissolve to join UDA. No, not that one. Mudavadi said is said to be moving to the new formation without demands. All right. Kenya Kwanza affiliate parties: UDA, Amani National Congress, Ford Kenya, Democratic Party of Kenya, Umoja na Maendeleo Party, didn't even know there's such a party, Tujibebe wa Kenya Party, this one is a lovely one, Devolution Party of Kenya, Federal Party of Kenya, Chama cha Kazi, don't joke.
That is Moses Kurias.
Yes, and the Service Party. Them, they provide service.
TSP is Mwangi Kionjori.
Yes.
Tujibebe wa Kenya is William Kabogo.
Yes.
ANC is Musalia Mudavadi.
This is very good.
Those ones are all doing the and joining UDA.
They have the affiliate parties of UDA.
All right.
So now this one tunaenda tukiona.
They're joining now.
Yes, and
ANC.
UDA will become. ANC is also.
Is it?
It was
7 a.m. news time.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is the News Wire. I'm Lea Ubaga. Nakuru Governor Susan Kihika is today expected to appear before the Senate Health Committee to be questioned about the closure of the War Memorial Hospital. The clerk of the Senate, Jeremiah Nyenganya, said the committee has allowed Kihika to appear before it, accompanied by any officer who will assist in providing information needed. The order to ask the governor to appear for questioning follows a request submitted by the Senator of the county, Tabitha Karanja, last December. Senator Karanja wants the county government to issue a plan that will see more than 300 workers compensated after they lost their jobs following the closure of the facility. MPs have now raised issues about why the Office of the President needs 7.9 billion shillings for salaries and additional services. In the 2024-2025 financial year, Parliament Security Committee has also raised questions about the use of 1.55 billion shillings to complete State House renovations in Nairobi, Eldoret, Mombasa, Kakamega, Kisii and Mtito Andei. State House Comptroller Kaptu Ole Metito has, however, defended the budget, admitting that there is an increase, but the funds will also assist in payment of salaries.
We have had an expanded mandate as State House because more often than not the head of state always issues executive orders, giving expanded mandates to several departments, especially State House.
Members of Parliament led by the chairman of the committee, Gabriel Tungonyo, have said they don't understand why State House wants to allocate a lot of money to issues that are not fundamental at a time when the budgets of other departments have been reduced.
The president is the vision holder for the country. Really, you can imagine advisors alone 1 point something billion. Is there something in helping the president to lead the country better? Resources being constrained.
It would be good that instead of asking for that little extra that you're asking, kindly be considerate of all the other departments and Kenyans and just make do with what you have.
The Office of the Deputy President has already confirmed sending requests for 400 million shillings in the budget for the financial year 2024-2025 to buy new cars and renovate the Harambee Annex office, as well as the residence of the Deputy President Karen in Nairobi and Mombasa. Elsewhere, police officers in the country will have to wait longer to reap the fruits of the radical police reforms recommended by the task force chaired by ex-Chief Justice David Maraga. The ambitious reforms that were billed as the solution to the welfare of police officers missed out completely from the next year's budget. Treasury failed to make any allocation to the 15 billion shillings that was required to finance the changes in the reforms. National Police Service, Prison Service and National Youth Service officers were to get a 40% salary increase. Appearing before the National Assembly's Committee on Administration and Internal Security, Inspector General of Police Japhet Koome showed zero allocation to the crucial reforms. The police boss made a case for the reinstatement of the 15 billion shillings, which is part of the 60.61 billion shortfall. And in the international scene, Meta platforms, social media sites, Facebook and Instagram will be investigated for potential breaches of EU online content rules relating to child safety. EU regulators said this is a move that could lead to hefty fines. The European Commission said it had decided to open an in-depth investigation into Facebook and Instagram due to concerns they had not adequately addressed risks to children. Meta submitted a risk assessment report in September. That's the News Wire. I'm Lea Ubaga.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
It's still looking okay for a Friday on the roads. Let's see. Thika Superhighway, where does it begin? It begins just at Allsops coming in towards the CBD, Kembu Road. It's not so bad, actually. It's at Muthaiga coming towards town. So there's something on the North Airport Road heading towards the Outer Ring Road interchange, but that's the usual kind of thing that happens. Earlier we were looking at what's happening on Kangundo Road. That's cleared up. As you now get into the Outer Ring Junction, that's where you'll find the traffic. Mombasa Road into town, not looking bad at all. Langata Road into town, not looking bad. It's flowing. Yeah, you'll find a bit of a traffic snarl up, but you will see that it is moving well. Limuru Road, it's the usual Limuru Road, but today is Friday, and the guys who usually operate along that Limuru Road side will go to work a bit late, leave early. So, let's see how the roads will be looking like in about half an hour. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
6 minutes after 7, how are you doing? Welcome to the second hour of the Situation Room. Happy Friday. If you're just joining us from wherever, on SpiceFM, on KTN Home, on SpiceFM KE, YouTube and Facebook, or if you're catching us on Radio Garden, we are everywhere that you can find us. Karibu sana, and we are glad that you're tuned in. Siti?
Yes, please.
People with a tax obligation are people who are good people. Now, those who actually play their part when it comes to tax obligations
are even better people.
Are even better citizens of a country.
Yes.
Okay.
Now,
ITIMS.
Yeah. Something called VAT. Huh?
Yes.
When you are among those wonderful citizens of this even more wonderful country of Kenya, who are not VAT compliant, have no fear.
Yeah.
Have no fear. E-Teams gives you an opportunity to participate in building your country. I know most people don't see it that way, but that's what taxes do. They help you build your country.
Yes.
Now, to be E-Teams compliant, it's not complicated. All of you understand how to operate a USSD code. This one is even simpler because it's *222, meaning 2-3 times. Hash.
Bas.
That's all you do. And once that happens, you'll have an array of things to choose from. Don't let this complication bother you. Go to KRA. Press on it. It'll open up a whole array of information that you are required to comply with. Now, the details that you need to fill in are straightforward, not complicated at all. The only thing that may give you a bit of a problem, as they say, may put in a spot of bother, is looking for the PIN of the person to whom you wish to send the invoice.
Yes.
But once you have the PIN, all you do is enter that PIN. And as our colleague Ndu would say, voila.
Yeah.
Everything that you are required to do has been done.
Kabisa.
It's that simple.
It's as simple as that.
Yes.
*222
#.
Yes. Very good. We're going to have our Health Friday conversation now. And, every Friday on Spice FM, we decided let's be having conversations that touch on healthcare matters from one end of the spectrum to the other end of the spectrum. Today, we want to talk about health tech and how health tech is improving access to healthcare. We are joined by Nyeri Njero. She is the Regional Director and Market Access Leader for Africa at a company called, is it Hologic?
Thank you very much, Eric. It is Hologic.
Hologic.
Yes.
What is that? You'll tell us what that is. Welcome, Nyeri. Good to have you here. It's been a cold night in Nairobi, but it's good to see that you're warm. Karibu sana. Do you know something called Showmax?
Showmax, yes, I do.
You do?
Yes.
Are you a subscriber to Showmax?
Yes, I am a subscriber to Showmax.
Now, please, what do you watch on Showmax? What do you like watching when you're now chilling? You've dealt with the logic issues. You're tired. You just want to unwind. What do you go for?
I don't think I really want to say that I'm a Showmax watcher. I think it's much more for the people in my house, right? I am this person who, when I get home at night, the only thing I want to do is switch off, right? So that I can rest my brain and be ready for the morning. But it is something that the people in my house definitely do enjoy Showmax. Yes.
So there's a lot of programming there. There's children's programming. There's, people who want to follow series, movies, documentaries. This is one of them. Documentaries. And then Planet Earth.
Yeah, Planet Earth, absolutely.
Yeah.
See?
And then Planet Animal.
Animal, yes, that Animal Planet. Actually, is this Planet? Is
Earth. Planet Earth.
Oh, yes. Sorry.
And then Animal Planet.
Animal Planet.
And Animal Planet.
So it's not the same thing?
That kind of content. Basically just showing you nature, right? That you like?
That I like, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm an outdoors person. I prefer to be out in the jungle than being, stuck up somewhere in a room. I'd rather be chasing the lions in Langata, right?
Now you see, that is why Showmax is ideal for her.
There are buffaloes in Rongai.
Because even out in the boondocks, as long as you're one of these gadgets, you have access to Showmax.
Bus. For as little as 500 shillings, wherever you are, the next time you go out looking for lions
and buffaloes,
and you forget how a lion looks like, you can just go.
I can go to Showmax and see one. I thank God I live in Nairobi, the only city in the world that has got a game reserve, right? And now I can actually just talk to Langata and I can walk into the lions.
And you'll see the lions right there. So for as low as 500 shillings, you will be able to log in and subscribe to Showmax. That's showmax.com. And if you're using a smartphone, you can actually just download the Showmax app on Play Store or App Store. And you enjoy. This week is the final week of the English Premier League this season, and the final games will be going down on Sunday. All games on the final day happen at the same time.
So after that, there'll be no more Premier League
for a couple of days. Now we'll be watching other things. There'll be Champions League final. There'll be FA Cup final. Football never dies.
All year round.
All year round.
Yeah.
It never sleeps.
It never sleeps. Never sleeps. Yep. So 500 shillings is all you need. Nyawera, City is going to welcome you to the conversation with the day's proverb. And this week has been giving us proverbs from which country?
The Republic of Malawi.
Is Hologic in Malawi?
We're not directly in Malawi, but we do travel to Malawi, and we do have a service partner who supports the work that we do there. So I was there towards the end of last year. It's a beautiful country. Yeah.
Which parts of Malawi did you go to?
So I've been to Blantyre, been to Lilongwe, and I've been to Lake Malawi for sure. If you go into Malawi and you don't get into Lake
Malawi,
then you haven't been to Malawi.
Right.
Yes.
City?
Yes. What has gone through the ear has gone right in.
What has gone through the ear has gone right in. What's your interpretation of this proverb?
It's difficult not to hear what has gone through the ear. So once it's in, you have heard it. You can choose to do something about it or not do anything about it. But once it goes into the ear, you definitely did hear it.
Okay. I was confused when I heard this proverb earlier this morning. And you brought in the other word that was confusing me. What has gone into the ear and what has gone through the ear? Does through the ear mean the way we say, inaingilia pande hii? Inatokea pande hii.
People speak as though when you hear something and you perhaps don't understand it or you do not wish to entertain it, it has gone into one ear and through to the other.
Yes.
That's what we say. And this probably saying nada.
Yeah.
When it goes in.
As long as it has entered, even if it comes out on the other side.
You can say what you like, but it has gone in and it is going to stay.
Okay.
It's taken residence.
Yeah. So what do you think the Malawians are telling us with this?
That's a deep one, Eric. But I think essentially what it's trying, my quick interpretation, if I was to think through it, right, is to say that more often than not, we're hearing what's happening around us, right? But we choose not to hear. And then you claim, imepita hivi, ikaenda hivi. But essentially, it did actually go in. The question is, do you want to do something about it? Hapana, ilipita ikiendanga.
Bas. Pin what?
What?
Bas.
Maybe, that's my interpretation, right?
That's a good one.
Right.
It's a very good interpretation. And it's apt.
No, you actually interpreted it very well.
You see, it's apt. You see, it's apt. And then finally, do you see that one? KRA to miss its target by 300 billion shillings despite new tax measures. What has gone through the ear stays in.
Yep.
But you may choose now not to.
It's your choice.
Yeah. Sawa. So tell us what Hologic is.
So Hologic is a medical technology company based in the US. We have a home in Massachusetts. We manufacture medical devices, I want to call them diagnostic tests, that then enables the doctors to be able to make correct interpretation and make a diagnosis of whatever illness you have. So it can be simple tests like the ones where you collect blood, right? Then it's run through a machine and the doctor says you have malaria, for example, or you have typhoid. So that type of test. Or the more complicated ones like imaging, when you talk about breast cancer and we talk about somebody going for a mammogram, right? So we also do that imaging technology of mammography, which then the woman can go get a scan done on the breast, and out of that you can look at the image and say, we can see something, and then that has to be investigated by pathologists, again using different technology to say, yes, we did see something and this is actually not good, or you're okay, it's good enough. So we manufacture those type of tests. In the way we do business, a lot of the tests we do are very heavily focused on issues that affect women. So you see, we do a lot in breast cancer screening, we do a lot in cervical cancer screening, we do a lot in what we call sexually transmitted infections that affect both men and women, also from a screening point of view. As well as other diseases like hepatitis, which are very contagious, HIV as well, we do support that as well from providing those solutions.
Okay. So I hear you mentioning the word technology quite a bit. So, in Kenya we know equipment. Is it the same thing?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes, because when you talk about equipment, even this piece that I'm speaking to, which is a microphone here, is a piece of equipment, right?
Yes.
So we can classify equipment to the tools, the whole body of what we have to do. But when you think about technology, technology is those other little things that we add into this piece of equipment that allows us to do more than we essentially could. So when you talk about health tech in particular, there is the basic equipment, and then the innovations and how we innovate, right, to actually bring down some of the barriers that we want to address within the healthcare system. So I say yes and no, because you can merge them so that you have health technology into one, but there is a piece of equipment that goes into it. But when people just talk about equipment, I think more often than not you're saying equipment like an MRI machine, like a CT scanner machine.
Yes.
But technology encompasses so much more beyond just a piece of equipment.
The mention of technology, what is implicit in it is that it makes life better, or it's supposed to make life better, or it guarantees it will make life better. Now, in the medical field, the technology that you speak of, are there specific areas that you specialize in, or is it very broad-based so that you cover almost every medical discipline known to mankind?
So just reflecting back on what you have said in terms of technology being seen to make life better, I think we have experienced that technology does make life better. If we go back to the days when we could not do mobile money, another day I was asking myself, what did I ever do before mobile money came? Because I am this Kenyan who walks around with no money. If you want cash from me, I don't have it. I'm like, nipe namba yako. That's the only language I understand. So in a way, technology generally in all facets of life does make life better. In the context of health, what technology is helping us do is really, I want to say, about three critical things at a very high level. One is helping us be able to talk more with the patient. So the patient, by talking more to the patient, I mean, if we take digital platforms, you have access to a mobile phone, it means that we can actually be able to send health messages that help you live a better life. So basically using digital platforms, mobile telephony, to be able to create the awareness about disease, what is it that you need to do. An example is how mobile technology has been used for TB patients, right? Across Africa, we have many TB patients. So what they have done is created a couple of tools, and they use messaging to remind you, your therapy is due now. You need to go to the clinic. You need to go and get this checked. And what that does is that it enables the patient to take charge of their own life, and they can actually be able to follow through on their therapies and treatment. So technology does make life better in that sense. The other piece where I think technology plays a very big role is when we think in the context of Africa, it can help us bridge the gap where we don't have professionals, and especially in pathology. So when you talk about a pathologist, is this doctor who, when the blood is collected from a particular patient, it then is taken to be run through a machine somewhere. The pathologist then looks at it and says, what do I see from what has been interpreted by the machine, and can then help make a diagnosis. Now in Kenya, I don't know the numbers exactly. I've seen anything between 80 to 150 pathologists that we have. If I think about my village in Chogoria, where I come from, I don't remember ever seeing a pathologist. So if ever you are sick and you need to come and see a pathologist, you are referred up to Kenyatta, where you come to wait in a queue to see the pathologist. So what technology has done and what it can do is actually help us be able to utilize it in a way that it helps us access those pathologists without necessarily moving the patient from point A to B. How does that happen? You would be able to get your sample collected at a particular space. For example, if you think about digital cytology. Yes, so I get my sample collected in Chogoria, at a hospital in Chogoria. They have a technology which allows them to scan, take images of that tissue sample. They are high-resolution images. Those images are then digitally sent to a doctor seated at, for example, the Nairobi hospital here. And that doctor is able to look at them and say, what I see here, I think this patient has cancer, or everything is okay. What that does, it means that one, while I'm seated in Chogoria, I have had access to a real senior specialist sitting in Nairobi, or even in South Africa or in the US. And it can quickly then turn around the point at which I get my diagnosis, and we can start quick treatment. And we know that if you delay treatment, of course, then the other ramifications and the costs that come because of delayed treatment then become much more bigger. So technology helps us bridge that gap where we don't fully have professionals, healthcare professionals, especially specialists.
Okay. Now, this delightful organization that you work with, my question was, is there an area of speciality that they focus on, or are they broad-based and cover technology as would fit into any discipline within the medical field?
We are specialized because we're largely within the diagnostic space, right? So a lot of our solutions will center around the breast imaging, for example. So within breast cancer screening and breast imaging, we do have those technologies that actually enable us be able to do the imaging I was talking about. When you go in and get a scan, you can get the imaging done on the mammogram. That image can be sent to somebody sitting somewhere else to make an interpretation on what they see on the breast. We use artificial intelligence in our equipment for breast imaging. We also do the same for cervical cancer screening as well. We do have what we call our digital cytology. Again, it's the same concept. A sample is collected here, images are scanned, they are sent to any pathologist sitting anywhere, and they can actually be able to read that. But in the bigger scheme of things, from an awareness creation point of view, education and teaching, whereas we don't manufacture all technologies, we are harnessing digital platforms and mobile platforms to be able to speak to people and women within, and patients, to help them take care of their own lives, right? For you to remind you, you need to go and get a mammogram, you need to go and get a cervical cancer screening, and to send you information on why it is important for you to do that, just to enable you to live a healthier life. So we also harness other existing technologies.
Give us an example of places where it is this technology has actually helped in this country with the very things that you're saying.
So in Kenya today, we have not yet laid out our digital cytologies or our digital platforms in Kenya today. But it is one of the discussions when we were at the American Chamber of Commerce, where we did bring out and say, what can we do and partner with the government? For example, in this space of cervical cancer screening, to say how do we help them bridge the gaps that we currently see within cervical cancer screening, which essentially, going back to what I talked about, is the gap we have within getting enough pathologists, right, to be able to provide a quick diagnosis for the patients, for the management. It's also about bringing in other solutions like what we are calling the human papillomavirus testing, right, which then begins to screen and say how many women do we know would be at risk of cervical cancer, and then how do we make sure that they're getting screened on an annual basis for them to be able to, at an early stage, be able to be detected and then get the commensurate treatment. So in the context of Kenya, with our digital platforms and technologies, we don't currently have implemented them. However, within the HIV program, we do provide a very high level of support for the HIV program in Kenya for viral loads testing for both children as well as for the adults as well for viral loads testing.
So who's your client? Okay, there's of course the person who buys the technology, who is your primary client, and then there's a secondary client, the people who benefit. Of course, the person who benefits in the end is the patient, right? But now, who do you deal with directly? Who do you service?
The client for me is the scientist, is the doctor, because that is the person with whom we have to put these tools into the hands with to enable them do an efficient job, right? For them to be able to get a good and correct diagnosis, for them to then essentially, going back to what you're saying, Eric, be able to help the patient. So our direct client, I would say, is the doctor, and the focus is on the scientist, right? As well as medical researchers as well, because there's a lot of data that needs to be collected to continue to help us to continue to innovate, right? So that would be it. But when people think in terms of who is your client, first of all, you're saying who's the buyer. So there is a buyer and there is a user and there is a beneficiary here. So when you also talk about the other client, would be the buyer. And in the context of the buyer, really, in the end, we're talking about the Ministry of Health, who is a custodian of what needs to happen, all matters health in Kenya, for example. So they would be the people we are talking to, because you need the policies that then support whatever technologies you want to bring into place. And then, of course, they need to be the enabler that pays for those technologies. So that's the continuum of the different players in that space.
You've actually now brought into the area, and government, from the government point of view. So we've been talking about universal health coverage for a while, all right? So we are told that we are now rolling out UHC. We are told we are seeing various bits and pieces of it in terms of legislation. Is the policy, legislation, regulatory framework conducive and supportive of health tech? And I mean existing and also encouraging development of new technologies.
I think having traveled across Africa and really being in the health space for many years now, I would say Kenya has really made significant strides towards achieving universal health coverage. We're not there yet, but I think we're putting together all the building blocks, right, that will help us essentially be able to get there. And there are a couple of laws that have already been enacted today, whether in bill form today or in complete acts, that are actually enabling, the movement towards universal health coverage. The digital one is a big one, right? Because we're talking about harnessing the digital platforms, about us being able to take digital images, being able to send them out somewhere, for people to be able to interpret. And I think for me, the digital health piece bill is a real big shift and movement, which then allows this collaboration we are talking about and the exchange of data. And this is health data, which sometimes is seen as very sensitive, right? That enabler in itself will really significantly improve that access, and is a major step towards UHC.
Many people do not understand what that digital health bill and now law actually intended to be or implied. So somebody who's now, you as an actual player in this field, break it down to us. Why was this law important? And what should we expect to see now happening in our health space as a result of having such a piece of legislation?
I want to take it from the private sector point of view, because I think the government is truly the custodian of the bill and where they wanted to go. But I want to reflect and say, how does that enable industry, for example, and where we want to go? Because I may not really be the expert to speak in depth what exactly needed to happen. But we did participate from the discussions on what needed to happen. So two things. When you're talking about utilizing digital tools in healthcare, the first thing that you must be thinking about is the health data that you will be transmitting and the protection of that data. What exactly needs to happen. So today, any one of us could have walked into any health facility, into any home, and collect data, and I can send it on an SMS. That data is not secure data. So we need to be sure that we can secure that data. The second piece, if I am bringing in technologies as Hologic, remember our technologies are also collecting data. So the question is, who owns that data, and how do we manage that data end to end, right? From collecting the data to storing the data to using the data, and also to finally being able to make sure that it does not get into the hands that it should not be getting into. So which becomes very important, because it's personal data, it's also about the country, it's also about our health and surveillance. Now that I speak about surveillance, again on the concept of digital, we are using a lot of digital tools. Remember the COVID days? It was, how do we know who is sick? Where are these people? And we're collecting all that data. Again, it is data around surveillance of disease, and that information needs to feed back into the government to help them be able to plan better and improve the services that we're doing. So I would say there's probably a gap that the masses were not educated, but for us that play in as industry, it was critical because one, it enables us to do more, because looking at how progressive Kenya is, we can then go back into when we do our R&D and say this is a market where if we were to apply digital technologies on our equipment, we could then be successful in helping them address those gaps.
But then why do we need this piece of legislation? We already have legislation on data and privacy.
So data and privacy, I think, was much more broader, and it did not necessarily cover health data, because health data is not like regular data. You know, there is personal identifiable data, which you just talk about, which is me and the details around my PIN number, my phone number, and the things I have to do. But when you talk about medical data, it is much more broader, and actually it can be an issue of security in itself. So from that perspective, it is my opinion that we really did need a law that was very leaning towards health and not into the general data protection as it was.
So it was important for the health space to have its own law that then gets granular, right?
Absolutely.
And I think it's the same thing. We've had a conversation with the data commissioner, and she said, even for you in the media, you need also to have your own sort of laws that feed into the overall overarching data protection laws, but also now talk about data protection from the side of media, data protection from the side of maybe hospitality and security and such.
And data protection from the side of health. And really health is big, right?
It's
and that is
huge.
why everybody tries to protect all information around health. It's not peculiar to Kenya. I mean, travel outside of this country and you tell people you talk about health data, everybody's like, wait, what type of data are you looking for? Right?
Yep.
So we are very concerned within the technology industry, also as practitioners, on how you handle health data. And I honestly, looking at what Kenya has done with that, is really to say we have a way to protect our health data, but we are also saying we are opening and saying we want to bring that technology that still allows us to harness digital technology, but at the same time protecting our health data.
Let's take a break on that note. 29 minutes to 8. Our guest this morning for Health Friday Conversation is Nyeri Ranjero. She is the Regional Director and Market Access Leader for Africa at Hologic. She's here to talk to us about health tech and how health tech can help improve access to healthcare for everybody across the country. We'll be back shortly. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Enjoyment doesn't come much simpler than the Showmax app. Easy to use with all your content organized by category. You can download all your favorite shows and movies straight to your device to watch later. And get tailor-made watch recommendations based upon your viewing history.
I want Wikipedia. You want Wikipedia? Yes, I want.
Shika so much more from your favorite hits with Showmax for just 300 shillings a month by card or M-Pesa. Shika Showmax, streaming for Africa. Sign up on showmax.com.
Kenya Revenue Authority KRA reminds all business owners, including those who are not registered for VAT, to electronically generate and transmit their invoices to KRA via eTIMS. Did you know you can now register and generate eTIMS invoices by dialing *222#? Visit www.kra.go.ke to register and learn more about eTIMS and start invoicing your transactions today. The general public is also encouraged to request for an electronically generated receipt with every purchase. Vuka eTIMS leo. Kenya Revenue Authority. Tulipe ushuru, tujitegemee. Do you have the passion, the interest to tell a story to the world in your own style? Well, we're ready to take you in and help you grow your talents in the media industry. The Standard Group, in partnership with Talanta Institute, is offering a media training and incubation program courtesy of Standard Talanta Academy, where we nurture and guide industry talents on an array of topics from writing, reporting, media law and ethics, investigative journalism and research to the Kenya Copyright Board, Kenya Film Commission and the Kenya Films and Classification Board legal frameworks. To apply to the Standard Talanta Academy for our upcoming May intake, visit www.talanta.ac.ke or call 0724 468 468. The Standard Talanta Academy.
Sunny day ahead in Nairobi. Current temperatures at 15 and it's going to rise to 25 later today. Mombasa sunny at 25 with highs of 31. Malindi sunny at 28, highs of 31 again. Kakamega sunny at 18, highs of 29. In Eldoret sunny at 15, highs of 25. Nyeri sunny at 17. Nakuru, sunny at 16. Kisumu, sunny at 21. Kampala in Uganda, sunny at 19 at present. Kinshasa, mostly clear skies at 24. Mogadishu, sunny at 27. Lagos, sunny, no, cloudy at 24. Addis Ababa, sunny at 14. Dar es Salaam, mostly sunny at 24. And then Johannesburg, clear skies at 12. It's wintry season there. It's mostly cloudy in Paris at 9, and it's also cloudy in London at 11. Clear skies in New York at 16, and Beijing, a hot afternoon at 29.
Shika all your favorite local and international TV shows, movies, and every Premier League game live na Showmax.
I feel the need for speed.
Shika whatever you want to watch, whenever you want to watch it, wherever you are na Showmax.
Answer's coming.
Shika Showmax come rain or shine kwa simu, kwa tablet na kwa smart TV for as little as just 300 shillings per month. Kushika Showmax, download the Showmax app to your phone today. Shika Showmax, streaming for Africa. Sign up on showmax.com.
North Airport Road heading in towards town, busy. Also busy at the junction into Embakasi. Coming into Mombasa Road, it's also looking busy at that interchange. Bunyala Road roundabout, as we know, it gets busy, but today it's not so bad. It's only busy at Douglas Wakehori Road heading into Bunyala Road. Langata Road is not looking so bad. It's only busy at the areas where you expect it to be busy in such hours of the morning. Ngong Road as well at the Junction Mall interchange with Naivasha Road, it's busy. Thereafter, it flows. Coming into town, you will be moving very well. Jogoo Road is busy at Makadara, the usual areas, but there's something this morning with the Kangunda Road coming into the interchange with Outer Ring Road. It's busy around that Umojawan area, both sides. I think there's a matatus that ply around that area. It's busy, busy, busy. Thika Superhighway, it stretches now to KSMS and into the Outer Ring and Allsops, and then Kiambu Road has gone to DCI headquarters. Limuru Road at Muthaiga, that construction, it'll be like this for a while. Just be patient.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Right, 24 minutes to 8. Our conversation with Nyeri Njero continues. She is the Regional Director and Market Access Leader for Africa at Hologic. She's here to talk to us about health tech and access to healthcare and why this is important, City.
Yes, what is clear without a doubt is the importance of what this technology does. But in a continent like ours and in a country like ours, the curative aspect of healthcare is something we most definitely cannot afford. So we go for the preventative. Now the question, this technology, how does it meld into this preventative approach to healthcare, and is it cost effective?
That's a very good question, and I just want to go back to what you're saying about curative versus preventive. In actual fact, the African healthcare system has been purely curative. So we spent money on drugs, we spent money on treating you after the fact. It's only now, as we start talking about universal health coverage, where actually in Kenya in particular, the government has become very deliberate to say how can we go into preventive and promotive healthcare. And that's why I think back in March, we saw the CHPs, the flag off of these 100 community health practitioners who are supposed to work within communities to help us begin to bring about the preventive, promotive healthcare. Before I speak about technology and why we need to focus on prevention and promotive health is, it's prevent before the fact, right?
Yep.
So if we are actually able to, at an early stage, to avoid us progressing into being sick and getting into hospital to get treatment, it actually saves a lot of these other costs that we incur coming into hospital. It is more expensive to actually treat than to prevent. Prevention is better than cure. That's what the English say, right? So essentially, if we were to borrow that, there is really good things we can achieve by focusing on prevention and promotive health. Now, how does technology come in? Two areas that technology really can help us. One is on the issue of when we do screening. For example, Eric, have you had your blood pressure measured? As a screening point, how often do you get your blood pressure measured?
Only when I end up in a hospital.
Only when you end up in a hospital that you're sick, right?
Yeah.
But do you know that it would be useful for you to get a regular screening, basically for like your blood pressure in itself, right? For you to know exactly where you are at any one time.
So
not
I check into a facility and tell them, pay my pressure.
No, pay my pressure. Okay. It already tells you. Most of us are going to pay my pressure when you already have this massive headache, and at that point it means that your blood pressure is probably the one's causing you have a headache. It's already so high up, and before you know it, instead of walking back home, when you walk to the hospital, you could find yourself on a hospital bed.
They keep you there.
Yes, and we may push you not just from the main ward, we could push you to the other places above the main ward, right? But if you are tracking it much earlier, it means something could have been done for you before you get to that end. So technology really does come into this space of screening. Breast cancer is another thing, and we've been talking about the rise of cancer in this country. And we think about cancer today, most people are actually being found out when they're already ill, sick. They need to incur such heavy cost for treatment and therapies going forward. But if we could actually invest into preventive early screening for cancer, whether it is cervical cancer, whether it is breast cancer, whether it is prostate cancer as well, which we can actually be able to do, then it means we're already managing it before it becomes a disease that we have to invest much more into managing. Now, when you talk about cost of prevention, I normally say people always think about the cost of acquisition of a piece of equipment or the technology, but you're not looking at the context in the whole ecosystem of what it means. So today it may cost you $100 to acquire the technology for you to do screening. But if you don't acquire that $100 today, you could be paying another $100,000 in the case of treatment, which is what we tend to see. So when we think about cost of acquisition of the technologies, we need to think about it in terms of the full ecosystem. What does it mean, and what are the future costs it prevents us from incurring? When you look at it that way, then it does make a lot of sense to invest in preventive promotive care than waiting to the tail end when we're putting in so much more money into the curative side of healthcare.
Okay. So with technology, it makes it easier, even at screening and diagnosis, to get results faster, right?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes, because the no bit is if, for example, again, going back to my village in Chogoria, and I want to get a biopsy done in Chogoria, right? The doctor says you have a little lump here, we need to get a biopsy done. There may be nobody in Chogoria to do the biopsy for me. So I have to travel to either a level 4 hospital somewhere.
To the nearest facility.
Then the biopsy is taken from there. But there's no pathologist to read it.
Right.
So they're later going to transport that sample to Kenyatta, for example, for the pathologist to come and read it and then be able to provide me back the results. Now, between the day that my biopsy was taken and the day I come back to see the doctor, I have no idea that it's 2 weeks, 2 months, 3 months. But what technology does, what Exex was talking about here earlier, if you're able to collect the sample where you are, be able to do those digital imaging, and then be able to send them out, one, you bring down that time of waiting. You then make sure that the patient is getting the results much earlier. So you get an earlier diagnosis. And more often than not, because you're also working with a specialist, it means that you're also getting an accurate diagnosis to enable your primary physician be able to take care of you.
Okay.
So it does bridge that gap and allow you to be able to get access to the specialized care that may not be available where you are.
Okay.
Because not every technology will be available in every village. Some of it you have to go slightly higher, the hierarchy of health facilities, to be able to find that higher end technology.
But then overall, it means that with use of technology, and if we actually expanded the use of technology, it would shorten distance, shorten time.
Correct. Turnaround time to results, also the distance the patients have to travel, for sure. And the cost of sample transport. And my cost of transport myself as well. You know, moving up from Chogoria to Nairobi is a cost for me as well, right? Only for me to come and take a biopsy, then go back to Chogoria to wait, and maybe have to come back again to get my results.
For the results.
Yes, whatever I have to get into.
Ulitumwa lab.
Yeah, Ulitumwa lab, yes.
And the Nairobi lab.
Yes.
Now, why aren't we seeing more investment of labs now that we have access to technology? Okay, let me not say why. Are we seeing more and greater investment in lab and screening facilities across the country?
I want to see
that may be interconnected to the specialists, that may be interconnected to health facilities and such.
We do see quite a big shift now in Kenya, and there are several networks that are also developing, right, to try and connect people to different physicians because of the very barriers we're talking about. One of the things I think that has been missing is the enabling environment to allow industry to thrive. Okay. I'll give you a simple example. In the context of if you're talking about high-end technology that needs to be done for either breast screening, for example, mammography, the idea is that people have always thought that the public hospital right next to me, sub-county hospital, needs a mammogram. And then you will have a faith-based hospital, Chogoria Mission Hospital right next door, which says, I need a mammogram. Then you have Nyawera Digital X-ray, who has a mammogram. And you know this, we are targeting one patient, right, who is Wanjiko.
Yeah.
There's only one patient. So all of us are competing for this one patient. Now, this heavy investment in these three areas really becomes redundant. And it makes it very costly because each of these three groups of people will want to recoup the initial cost and investment. The question is, how do we bring the private and public sector together so that we can create and pool the patients, create economies of scale, which then can make that technology available and affordable.
But then how is this a factor of a conducive environment, of an enabling environment?
Then,
if Nyawera decided to buy equipment and she knows Chogoria Mission Hospital has the same equipment and they know that the government hospital has the same equipment, how is that a factor of enabling environment? That's greed.
It
or
is
lack of business sense.
It is. I mean, we can look at it from the business perspective. I think it's a lack of business sense. But I think it is created because everybody believes that government in itself must have all the tools it needs to treat you, which I don't think is true. The role of government is to create that enabling environment that allows us to be able to bring in those technologies. And so when we talk about universal health coverage, in my view, the government should not be thinking that they need to acquire all these technologies. Right. What they need to say is that we shall provide this service. We shall provide mammography. But we don't have to go and buy the mammogram from Hologic. We will work with Latiff, who has digital x-rays right next door. We will send our patients there, and the model is that we will pay him per service fee. Because it's that initial upfront cost for them to acquire it. So what is happening is we duplicate, then we have all this installed base of different pieces of equipment that essentially we are not using because for both the government it's expensive, for the patient it becomes very expensive. But if we could pool together these same patients, it means we're bringing in those economies of scale, which then means that you can actually get better costing in the final end for the patients.
You know, I don't see a problem with the competition, not really. No.
The problem is the cost.
Yes, but even with the cost, there's competition because if Hologic opened the door and we know that they're the ones who can do this, I immediately think, okay, what, do the Koreans have something similar? Do this? Because they are not the only institution that produce such equipment.
That's true.
Okay? And then when it comes to the consumption of it or where it is that the public is allowed to consume it, if you look at the service that was provided by NHIF, and now we're being told something called SHIF. I've got it right this time, haven't I? Okay. Well, SHIF enables you to either go to a public hospital or to go to a private hospital. Okay. So within that was an enabling environment. But, in my opinion, the government must have all this equipment. You know why?
Because of why?
Because the majority of people believe that anything within government services is subsidized, or at least it costs less than if you go to the private sector. And why this is important is because the private sector then have to understand that they don't have to make humongous profits. They just need to make sufficient profits, but healthcare is then provided at an affordable cost.
Okay.
Yes.
But then let's use that same argument and look at how NHIF has worked with public and private facilities. Agree at the costs. Once you've agreed that the cost of this service is this much,
yes,
you sign a contract with private facility, sign a contract with public facility. Eric goes to either.
Yes.
And uses the NHIF card. Because NHIF has already said, let's agree that this is the range of the cost of this particular.
Yes.
So I think it should be the same thing. That we say then, instead of Nyawera lab buying this particular piece of equipment for mammography, she can now then focus on investing in something else. And if UHC, actually, if I remember, I think it's Dr. Luenyi who told us that, that whole bigger picture of UHC is actually mapping the areas and saying in this particular area, 10 square kilometers, is it? In this particular 10 square kilometers, how many health facilities do we have? Public, private. Then we know that this is the reach of the people within this area, that they have access to these particular facilities. So in these facilities, what do we have? You do lab, right? You do dentistry, all right? You do ophthalmology, okay? You do, these are the services. So we know that the people in this area have access to dental care, eye care, screening, lab, they have theater, In Chogoria, they call it
Chogoria.
So that's what you're saying, isn't it?
Yeah, I want to just go back to what City is saying in terms of competition. When we speak about this phrase of not duplicating services and everything, it's not really saying that we want to stop competition, because where you buy and purchase from is not what we're talking about. What we are saying is you are selling maize and somebody selling maize, another one is selling maize. We need to make a githeri, so we need somebody to bring in the beans. We need somebody to bring in vegetables for us to complete what needs to happen. Because the competition is the same. Is the same, and natomiji and carrots. If you come from my home, there must be carrots into. Absolutely, just to make it affordable. And competition in itself can make services unreachable, right? Because remember, if you have government that has put in equipment, whatever it is, people say it is free. There is nothing that is free. Let's be honest. Government is paying for it. The taxes that KRA is collecting today is basically being put into health. So there is nothing that is free. Government has made an investment. And that investment is what they're using to provide the healthcare service. That investment has to pay back in itself for us to say we can be able to run healthcare systems. Otherwise, if you're just putting money into a hole, it does not pay back, then you're not able to continue to provide that service. And that's what the question is, does government really have to own every single tool that we require? Or can they create an enabling environment, going back to exactly what we are hearing now within UHC, that they're mapping out facilities and saying for these facilities, within this space, we will say we want to provide 1, 2, 3, 4 services. Some of them will be available within government hospitals. Others will be through partnerships, right, with the private sector, whether it's faith-based organizations or it is these private, what do we call them, private labs that could still provide the same service. Because the patient, what you want is for the patient to get good service, get a correct diagnosis, so they can actually be able to be treated.
You know, if you given the exponential upward mobility of our population, yes, whatever the government purposed to do with regards to healthcare, I think that has been overtaken by the population. So the private sector becomes an equal partner, whether we like it or not. You see, when you talk private sector, one thinks of these huge hospitals. We know this big private hospital. No. Private healthcare has gone machinani as we speak. Now, when I was talking of competition, what I was talking of is the ability for there to be, as you say, an availability of situations and circumstances that enable people to do that business. You see? So now you'll decide how it is you want to provide these services and at what cost. Correct. If I look at something like the MES system, which we call the MES, just add one more S to it, and becomes, the thinking around it was good. Economies of scale. This is what you need, we bulk buy, and this is what happens. Then typical Kenyans, we tinkered with it. But it was a very, very good plan when you think about it. Now, if we are saying that in theory what the government ought to do is what the government then does, then we'll have a very ideal situation, but we know that won't happen. Okay? And perhaps one could argue that private sector has actually helped level that playing field a lot more. And for the simple reason is that the private sector is actually meeting existing needs. They wouldn't spring up, whether it is healthcare services or schools, they wouldn't spring up all over the place. There's no demand for it.
No, absolutely. I couldn't agree more with you, right?
Yes.
For as long as there is a gap, there is a need. It's an opportunity for investment, right?
Yes.
And I think in Kenya, it's one of the countries we see we have a vibrant private sector in whichever business we think about, right? And healthcare in particular. I think for most countries, you hear people talking about the vibrancy of the private sector, private healthcare in Kenya. And I think for the longest time, we've been saying that private sector provides about 40-50% of health services in Kenya, for the very reason that you say, right? Because again, and I want to say this, for the longest time, we all did not trust public sector. Right? You went there were no drugs. You went there, the doctor was not available. You went there, something was not happening.
When you say there were no drugs, you speak as though it's a thing of the past. You go there and there are no drugs. Present continuous tense.
Present continuous tense. So because of those struggles within the public healthcare system, it then means that another parallel system developed here to basically fill that gap that was happening. So there is that massive investment. But what we continue to see, and I think Kenya is also very unique, is this continued integration of public and private sector. So especially the faith-based organizations, for the longest time, they seem to have been woven to be part of the fabric that provides health service in Kenya. And that one we know. That's how come NHIF and now SHIF is able to integrate them as part of facilities that can provide service and can actually then be reimbursed for that service.
In fact, in this country, if you look at it, if you look at that field of healthcare, private healthcare provision is actually going to overtake government healthcare provision. They are growing. Small hospitals that you don't know of spreading their wings.
Yep.
Younger health practitioners getting together to form these things and going to places where perhaps the government has not provided that service. It's a serious growth industry, and it continues to grow. Yes.
And I think, I'm always conflicted with this one, whether some of these basic services should be, majorly private sector offered, education, health and such, or whether government should invest more and more into this. But if you then, so that's one argument that I say, no, government should invest, government should be the lead in providing these services. It should be 60-40 at the very least in terms of provision of healthcare services. But then if you bring in the other argument, that maybe the government then does not need to offer, to spend money on all these things if government plays the proper coordinating role of ensuring that the citizen gets access to health. Because what I want is access. What I want is the shortest distance to a health facility, the best care that I can get at that health facility, and if there's referral, also getting to best care into any facility at sort of similar cost. I think that's where now the issues come in.
I think because essentially the role of government is to provide the service, right? And probably that's why I want to agree with you, Eric Latiff. And we also must think about the massive investments that you need to put the infrastructure that you require to provide service. Whether you're building a hospital, whether it is healthcare workers you're employing, all these high-level professionals as well, right?
Yep.
And looking at where we are as a country and also as a continent, where if you remember during the summit, we had these statistics shared that on average it's about $45 per person that we spend on healthcare service in Africa. Now, $45 per person per year that you're spending on healthcare will not buy as much. So the question is, because this is where we are based on our GDPs and how much we can put into healthcare, then what are those models we need to adopt to still ensure that government can provide service? And I think that's going back to that reasoning and argument of we don't have to put in this initial upfront heavy cost. We could still utilize the already existing framework, which is this partnership with private sector, to still ensure that Kenyans and Africans, by and large across the continent, do still get access to healthcare. Because that's what we want.
Yeah.
It's not to build hospitals. What we want is access to healthcare services. So how do we make it happen? It's looking at those innovative models, I would say, that would enhance better access.
With this renewed focus on preventive and promotive health, I'm actually thinking, why are we not seeing more and more, screening facilities coming up across the country now that there's technology? So you don't have to think of a lab where you go to the lab's main client is a hospital which will refer its patients to this particular lab to come and get some tests, but also a lab that encourages people to come for regular screening. Question you asked me, the last time I went for, it's just thinking, I go, street pay parking, street queue,
now I know where you go. When you say pay parking, I know where you go.
I mean in Nairobi. In Nairobi, wherever you go, and even if you're in South, you're either paying kanjo or you're paying the facility.
You might charge me parking for parking downstairs, right?
Chunga. So it becomes a barrier.
Yeah.
Just the headache of thinking, okay, I'd like to check my blood. I'd like to just have my regular screening. But then it's so long. Should we be seeing more and more sprouting of such facilities?
Preventive promotive healthcare is not just about the government or about the hospitals. It's also about we as people. You wanted to take good care of yourself and understanding the reasons as to why you want to take care of yourself. Traditionally, and I know we speak about it, this sometimes not being very gender sensitive, is that rarely will you find a man walking into a hospital unless he's basically crawling or has been dragged there by someone. Right? We are saying we can see you're very sick city, we have to carry you to the hospital. Even when you're doing like, no, sorry guys, I think I'm fine, right? So because of just our way of health, our health-seeking behaviors, we don't do things unless it is painful. So we are only going to hospital because we are hurting. So we need to be able to begin to speak and say, you don't have to wait to be sick to go to hospital. But if you are at this age, you need to get your blood pressure tested.
Which is where my argument comes in. If, for example, there were areas just close by in your neighborhood where you could walk in for screening, right? Even those women who end up being diagnosed with cervical cancer at stage 4, they could have gotten that thing caught earlier. Why did they not do it? It's just the headache of where you're going and all those things.
Absolutely. So
and Nyawira, there's something else here. There is the balancing of priorities. For very many of our citizens, a headache is not something that's going to take you to hospital. And you don't figure out that the headache is actually a symptom of a bigger problem. You'd rather buy food. You'd rather make sure your child has slippers. So hospital, even if you're really in pain, you'll buy a painkiller.
Hospital is a cost on many fronts.
I was going to say, actually, the cost is one of the major issues that make most of us not go, because even you who goes there, forget about the parking cost, right? For you to just get that blood pressure tested where you're going, you will have paid a consultation fee to get the blood pressure tested. So what I see happening, and this is hopefully what universal health coverage is going to help us be able to achieve, and with these new CHPs, is that being able to actually either integrate screening as part of SHIF or NHIF, whatever it is we are moving forward with. It means that it would enable anybody wake up and go to a facility, right, wherever they are, to a health center, and know that they can get a blood pressure tested without having to pay anything upfront. Because for as long as you're thinking, I need to go and pay 100 shillings to get my blood pressure tested, to City's point, am I going to do that or buy bread for breakfast?
Yeah.
You know,
also, if I have to take 3 matatus to go to a place to get this screening, even if I have a card,
absolutely,
it's still I'm not going to do it.
And I think this is where the CHPs are coming into the picture to say, can they be deployed into the communities for some of these basic things that need to be done? And this was happening when I was growing up, right, at what we call primary health care. There were nurses that came to weigh babies in the communities, to do immunizations, vaccinations in the communities.
Health.
And I think that is where we are. Health, yes. And that is where we have to go back to. So I think this CHP movement, bringing it much more, back into the communities, will then increase, one, the awareness and the knowledge, but can do that basic screening that does not require to be put into a hospital or lab setup for it to happen. And they can be actually the reference points to say, you, Nyawira, you're the kind who needs to go to hospital for further tests. Because when I look at your blood pressure, I think there's something that needs to be looked at.
Look at the time. We've got to end it there. Thank you very much for joining us, Nyawira. Nyawira Njero is the boss at Hologic in Africa. She's a regional director. She's a market access leader. Basically, you're the one who's supposed to sell across the continent. It's been our Health Friday conversation. A pleasure having you. We'll have you again soon. 8:01, news time.
Political discourse should be conducted. The government has got nothing to do with this meeting. This is a people's meeting.
Despite the meeting set to proceed, Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru and the Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah have opposed the meeting, describing it as tribal and not productive, as it has failed to acknowledge Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, who is currently the leader with the highest rank in the region.
Hao wenye wanazunguka wakisema sijui Limuru 3, Limuru 2, sisi tunawaambia sasa wakati ambapo tuko kazini. Na siasa, wakati wa siasa itakuja. Wakati wa kupanga siasa itafika.
Kama hujatosheka na hiyo serikali, enda uga yako huko kando. Ama ugoje miaka 3, enda uga serikali yako. Na uge na wale utaweza, na wale tunataka kuingia na William, tumuigize tena.
The planners of Limuru 3 are the remnants of Mount Kenya who have not accepted a William Ruto presidency.
However, Public Service CS Moses Kuria has had a change of mind concerning his attendance, accusing Jubilee Secretary General Jeremiah Kioni of rejecting his request to be present at the meeting.
I don't know why you're asking me about my boss, because he's my boss. But because you have asked, and I'm never one to hide, I don't agree with him. Because we were elected by the people to solve the issues. If Mother Karawa calls me to her house today, I'll go. Or Jeremiah Kioni, with respect, you don't have to come to me. And solutions of this problem, of this country, they have got no forwarding address. At if you find a problem, we need all of us. You can't tell me that you find the problem, come and see me. Who are you? Tunataka one man one vote. Na tuko na nafasi ya to solve those issues. Who are we telling to solve those issues? I think it's hypocritical. There are people who are sponsoring it. Now I know somebody who has put 10 million on it. And I want to tell people who are telling the Limuru 3, please don't go home hungry.
It should be remembered that the Limuru 2 meeting in 2012 reached the resolutions of retired President Uhuru Kenyatta to run for presidency alongside President William Ruto as his running mate. Police officers in Nyamira are looking for a woman who reportedly left her 3-week-old son. According to witnesses, the woman arrived at the Nyamira General Hospital and asked a stranger to hold the child for a short while she bought some goods on the street, only for her not to return. The child is being cared for at Nyamira General Hospital as police officers continue to search for his mother or any close relatives. Sugarcane workers have threatened to stage a protest during the upcoming Madaraka Day celebration fete in Bungoma County over unpaid arrears amounting to more than 3 billion shillings. The workers expressed their frustration, saying they were not happy with the way the government was handling the matter. Led by the Kenya Union of Sugarcane Plantation and Allied Workers Secretary General Francis Wangara, they noted that initially the payment was supposed to be made by December last year, but what surprised them was that the farmers were the ones who were paid. And in the international scene, Texas Governor Greg Abbott has pardoned a man convicted of killing a Black Lives Matter protester in 2020. Daniel Perry, an ex-U.S. Army sergeant, was moonlighting as an Uber driver in Austin when he turned onto a street where demonstrators were marching. Garrett Foster, one of the protesters, approached the vehicle carrying a rifle. Perry shot him dead. Perry said he acted in self-defense, but he was convicted by a jury and sentenced to 25 years in prison. That's the Newswire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
.5 SpiceFM, Kisumu.
Usalama barabarani. Remember that song, City? Dereva. Dereva. Chunga maisha. Okay.
It's a good song.
If you're on the road this morning, just chunga maisha. Be courteous to other road users. And remember, road users are not your fellow drivers. Road users includes pedestrians, includes children crossing the road.
Includes motorcycle riders.
Motorcyclists, includes bicycle riders. All those people. All of them are road users. Sawa. Be courteous. There's something happening on Outer Ring Road when you're heading towards a Thika Road from the Umoja Junction. I think this Umoja area. Remember I was telling you there was something happening area.
You did
So
say.
on at Kangundo Road heading into the Outer Ring Junction, and then now from Outer Ring Junction heading into the Juja Road Junction. Sheda mingi sana. And then Thika Superhighway coming towards town, it begins at KSMS as usual. Kiambu Road coming towards town, it begins at DCI as usual. Limuru Road heading into and out of town, this area around Muthaiga, all the way into UN Avenue, very, very, very busy, and that's what we see. And then we also see Mombasa Road right now, heading towards town, from Nyayo Stadium roundabout to Bunyala roundabout. Just exercise patience. That's your portion this morning.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
City, please tell everybody else again how to get an eTIMS invoice generated.
It's very simple, really. All you need to do, take your phone,
yes,
USSD star,
yes,
222 hash, Bonyeza.
Okay.
You'll have an array of things to choose from. 1, 2, 3, 4 there. KRA, Bonyeza. And then you will be asked to fill in certain details. Now, the details, among the details you'll be required is to indicate the PIN number of the organization or the entity you are sending an invoice to. Now, if you don't know what the invoice, the PIN number is, then simply ask. You'll be told, Utambiwa, this is our PIN number. Now, once you enter it, it is done. Now, please remember, ETIMS means Electronic Tax Invoice Management System. That's all.
Simple.
Very simple. Yes. And you become compliant. Now, we in Kenya, we like resisting such things. The truth of the matter is this. Without your taxes, there are no services.
You cannot hire teachers.
Whether you feel the services are not adequate or not, that's not KRA's problem. KRA collects money. That's what they do. Thereafter, it is not in their hands. So, simply do the needful and become compliant. It's simple and it's straightforward.
And this ETIMS invoice is very, very important, and ETIMS receipt as well. I mean, getting a receipt as well is also very, very important. So just do the needful, like we've said. So we have two guests who are joining us in the studio. Andrew Molo is the Group Sales and Marketing Manager at ECTA, ECTA. What is it? What do you call it? Is it ECTA? Is it ECTA?
ECTA.
And you'll tell us what ECTA is without an N. Okay. And then Charles Olo is the Oriel Ngong branch manager. He's been here before. Charles, good to have you again.
Yeah, thank you.
Karibu sana to Kenya's biggest conversation.
I'm delighted.
Yes. Now, I know Andrew is a guy who likes entertainment. Not that entertainment of just consuming content, right? And consuming content. I know, therefore, Andrew, that you know Showmax. Yes? And you're a subscriber to Showmax. For 500 shillings only, you can subscribe to Showmax. You can watch any sports. You know, there's a lot of sports actually available on Showmax. Yeah, you can watch Formula One. You can watch football. You can watch documentaries on sports. You can watch travel shows. You love travel, yeah, you love motors, and mambo yote motogari, Charles. You do that a lot, so you can also get that kind of content, including Animal Planet and other documentaries on Showmax. For as low as 500 shillings, get your subscription, and you get all the content. The beauty about this is you can actually get this content wherever you are on the go. You don't have to be in front of a TV. You can get it on your mobile device, whether your phone or your tablet. You just download the Showmax app from Play Store, App Store, wherever you are, as long as you have a subscription. Log in, consume content. Good, right? It's a very good thing. Hi, CT will welcome you with the day's proverb. So what this guy does is every week he goes across the country and he not a continent
into Africa.
He continenti.
Yes.
Wow, continental Africa. And then he settles into one country and brings us proverbs from that. This week we've been in the Republic of
Malawi, whose capital is Lilongwe. This is the final proverb for this week, and the final proverb from the Republic of Malawi.
Okay.
What has gone through the ear has gone right in.
What has gone through the ear has gone right in. Andrew, I want to start with you. What's your interpretation of this proverb?
Wow. I think what has gone through the ear should get to your brain. That's my interpretation. You should understand it, appreciate it, and consume it.
Charles?
To me, what has gone through the ear is what you already consumed. And it's only what you can talk about.
It's only what you can make use of because you've consumed it.
Yeah.
Both interpretations are good. You see, the beauty of asking someone's perspective is you end up telling us things we hadn't thought of.
Yeah.
And you can't be wrong. Because that is how you see it.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So, Andrew, start by telling us what is ECTA.
Yeah. ECTA is a company which has been around for a while. The founder was Sheikh Ameta, the former rally driver.
Shakameta, the famous Shakameta.
The famous Shakameta.
Wow.
He's the founder of Ednah. We've evolved through very many businesses that we've done before.
Yeah.
But because of the enthusiasm of the founder around motorsport, Subaru is one of the franchises that we hold. Over the years, we've increased what we do. We also currently are a franchise holder for JSE, Jack of China, and we also have Oriel, aftermarket suspension special company. Yeah.
So Subaru,
Jack,
Oriel.
And Oriel.
Yeah.
And Oriel is a franchise holder for Monroe.
And those are the ones that we know.
Yes.
Okay. So it's called Ednah. Is it an acronym for anything in full or initials for anything?
It was, but now we just call it Ednah.
So now it's just the brand is Ednah. And you're big on cars.
Big on cars, absolutely.
Very good.
Yes.
You were last here, Charles, and we spoke about Oriel and not Oriel dance. So it's suspension and understanding suspension, also offering general service, right? What is it that people should think about when once they've bought this brand new Subaru or second-hand Subaru, and they're thinking, barabara, I need to test. Lazima hii gari jue barabara. Before they do that, before they say wacha hii gari tuiguzishe barabara, what should they think of?
Always, when people are thinking of buying cars, people suspension system never come to the minds of the people.
Yeah.
It's just always about the horsepower, the color of the car, the comfort that you are going to get. But you will find that almost 70% of the safety that people enjoy from the vehicle is derived from the suspension. So we always advise people that once you buy the car, and especially if they're the grey imports, it is good to take it for inspection and find out whether the shock absorbers or the coil springs are okay and are complying to our local road conditions. Our parts or our suspensions are tropicalized for our local roads. And most of the time you'll find that whatever that we fit it as original equipment replacement, but something that will give you firmer grip, but maintain comfort, stability, and the safety that we need.
Charles, what is the suspension of a vehicle?
A suspension comprises several components on a car. Under suspension, we have shocks, we have springs, we have bushes, tie rod ends, even tires are part of suspension, and even the braking system. So it is almost 90% of underneath.
It's like anything that you find underneath the entire car.
It is the whole thing.
The only thing you've left out is the engine.
The only thing is just the
door
and the body.
My goodness.
And the color.
And the color.
And the color. So there's some guys here who want to put up a banner. So I'm going to go up to a break because they've just come in here and they're noisy, completely noisy. So we'll take a break so they can do the thing that they're doing, and then we can have the proper branding onto the show. Kenya's biggest conversation, 16 minutes after 8. Ahead of the Digger Motor Show, we have two guests in the studio. One is Andrew Molo, he's the Standard Group Sales and Marketing Manager, and Charles Olo, who's the Oriel Ngong Road Manager. He's here, they're here. Charles will tell us about the suspension and the importance of thinking about suspension. And of course, Andrew will tell us about the Subaru cars that they have, the Jack electric motor vehicle that they have, and the entire group and what they do. Back shortly. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. if you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
If a lion shows you its teeth, it doesn't mean it likes you.
It doesn't mean it likes you. It won't start. A liar calls as witness one who is either dead or far away. Say it in
Ben low, nin inte, yenin there, ayu makati kadikta. You know this character called liar. He has disturbed people. So when you tell him who are your witnesses, he will take you to a place where it is difficult to verify.
For someone like me who sweats a lot, I cannot survive there. Sweating is biblical. And you must blame it on Adam, not because Adam messed up and he was told, no, you fellow, you, by the sweat of your brow, thou shalt eat.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
The weather with SpiceFM.
All right, sunny day in Nairobi, 15 degrees. Mombasa, sunny at 25. Malindi, sunny at 28. Kakamega, sunny at 18. Eldoret, sunny at 15. Kisumu, 21 degrees, sunny. Nakuru, sunny at 16. Nyeri, sunny at 17. Kampala, sunny at 19. Dar es Salaam, mostly sunny at 24. Addis Ababa, sunny at 14. Mogadishu, sunny at 27. Mostly cloudy day in Lagos at 24. Kinshasa, mostly clear at 24 as well. Johannesburg, it's cold at 12. Mostly cloudy in Paris, but it's degrees of 9 and mostly cloudy as well in London at 11. New York, cloudy at 16. And Beijing, sunny at 29.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Still that issue between Kangundo Road Junction and the Juja Road Junction on Outer Ring, it's busy. I don't know what's happening there because Juja Road itself is not busy. Kangundo Road is busy on both sides, and this is at the Umoja 1 junction with Outer Ring. And then we're also seeing Manyanja Road picking up their traffic for a bit. Then Makadara area on Jogo Road is busy. Landis Road is busy. City Stadium roundabout is not looking so bad. It's been busy between Nyayo Stadium roundabout and Bunyala roundabout. It continues. And then that stretches because of Aerodrome Road or Douglas Wakaihori Road. It stretches now into Makadara and to Timor. And then on Raila Odinga Way, on Mbagathi Way, it's busy on both sides. That's at Timor and at City Mortuary Roundabout. It's also busy on Gong Road at the Junction Mall Junction. Others moving. Limuru Road, I don't need to tell you. Just be patient.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
21 minutes to 8, our conversation, past 8 rather. Our conversation continues ahead of the Digger Motor Show, what we're going to have this coming weekend. Andrew Molo is from Ednah. He's the Group Sales and Marketing Manager. Ednah deals with the Subaru. These are the guys who deal with Subaru in the country. Ednah. If you see that nice looking gigantic truck written JAC, Jack, it's actually electric. It is as well from Ednah. And when you go to various roads, Mombasa Road, Ngong Road and elsewhere, and you see Oriel, that is also Ednah. So, Andrew, let's talk about this truck, the Jack. Okay? So, we're seeing the uptake of e-vehicles, electric vehicles in the country. How has Jack performed in the country so far, in the market?
Okay. I think I can say we are pioneers in terms of EV in Kenya. And more so, most of our competition probably offer what I would call small cars, small SUV EV. For us, we've come in with a utilitarian offer in terms of a double cab, and we also have trucks as well. So we positioned ourselves differently in terms of being able to target probably where the use and the carbon emissions are probably higher than would be, so that the impact on the environment is significant. So our positioning is to make sure that those people who use their vehicles more often, who have a bigger environmental impact, have access to EV. So you find that a lot of companies, construction firms, use a lot of double cabs for their work, for their engineers and other people. And they do a lot of mileage. So in that segment, and also small trucks as well. So we've been able to get a good tracking on the ground, on the same. Of course, the challenge remains the charging infrastructure, as it were.
What's that challenge?
The challenge is that there's limited public infrastructure in place. The same way when you drive an internal combustion engine, you have petrol stations everywhere, so you don't need to worry about it. Because of lack of infrastructure on the charging side, it creates a lot of range anxiety, so to speak, and then people like, can I take this? Where will I charge it? That's the challenge is. Currently, most of our customers are corporates, and we're able to install the charging system within their premises, but still, when they go outside, what happens? So that's the main challenge that there is at the moment.
Because the main reason they bought is so the vehicles can then go to the field with the engineers, like you said, right? So when they're out there in the field, then who handles this? But then the question comes into, even if you look at the internal combustion engines and the development of petrol stations and outlets across the country, that was not the job of the motor vehicle companies. It's not the vehicle companies that have invested in this. It's not government that has invested in petrol stations. It is the private sector that's invested in petrol stations. Are we saying that we are not seeing private sector actually coming up to say, I am setting up a charging station?
I think it's already happening. We have an association, EMAC, which we are all having these conversations in terms of how to facilitate adoption of EV. And currently there's a paper being done which will be presented to government to enhance, because there's no quite regulatory framework, as it were. If you do a public charging portal or system in place, how do you charge? IPRA has been grappling with that. They came with some guidelines, not firmed up yet. So I think things are at infancy stage, but I think in the next 1 year we'll have a lot of things coming together to make sure that we have a support system that will be able to support the EV. It takes a bit of time in terms of organic evolution of things, but I think now that also the president is very keen on EV, a lot of effort is being done both from the government and the private sector to ensure uptake. Most businesses will quickly take up an opportunity when they see sizable volume. So since now the numbers are not that much, you'll find most entrepreneurs like, do I go in, do I not? So people are still in that wait and see kind of situation. But there's some early adopters who are already in place, but I believe in the next 1 year to 2 years, there'll be a rapid acceleration of the same.
Does it make business sense? I mean, you've been in the oil marketing industry for a while. I know you from that side. Does it make business sense for somebody to say, I want to look at how I can start investing in a chain of EV charging centers?
Yes, it would be if you're strategic. Just like going back to my petroleum years, where are you going to position your station? If somebody wants a tip from me, then I think it will be on the key towns, because most of the range of the EVs are between 200 to 350 or thereabout, which means most EV vehicles you cannot drive from here to Mombasa. So Mtito Wande Voi is a killer in terms of going forward. And of course the big towns, as it were. So I think somebody has to be strategic, know who has the EV vehicles, what are their routes, and then you'll be able to implant the same. However, Total Energies, I think, is doing something on the same. So a lot of the traditional fuel companies are already coming on board because they have seen that in Europe and the US, so they're already coming on board to offer the same. So I believe very soon there'll be synergy between the fossil fuel stations and the charging stations, which will be good, because now you don't need to develop a complete new infrastructure to support the EV.
You've actually dovetailed the question I was going to ask next. I mean, why can't oil companies that already have the investment, you have bought the land, you have the licenses, you have everything, you are close to a road, you have customers, why can't they set up just like a corner that's just called an EV charging facility?
Yes, if they can set up a corner where they're selling tires, surely.
Absolutely. I think for them it will be better, because also in terms of your cost of overheads, even as the volume and the takeoff is low, you still have your fossil fuel, your tire change centers, and your other chains supporting your cost. So over time, I think it's an easier entry for them, if you say so. The other one also, I would say, is KEPs, because we do parking, because a lot of time they have a lot of space as well, and the EV infrastructure doesn't take much space. And the airport, supermarket, parking bays, and all that is a good place. So as I shop, I can be charging. When I'm done my shopping after an hour, I have some juice in my car and I move on. So I think it's a good opportunity as well.
Yeah, because they are now investing in parking lots and charging as an arm and a leg. They can charge us as we charge our vehicles.
Absolutely.
Okay. Subaru. Now, what's the proper pronunciation of this? There are people say Subaru, there's Subaru. What is it?
I always give latitude, depending on which school you went to.
Whatever floats your boat.
Yeah, so we Subaru. Yeah, so Kenyans have all sorts of connotations of the same.
Yeah, it's become a popular model in the market. Why do you think this is so?
Reliability is one thing. Safety is one thing we are big on. We moved a notch higher in terms of safety with eyesight technology that is now in our vehicles.
Sorry, repeat that again.
Eyesight.
Yeah. You'll explain it, won't you?
I'll explain it.
The car can see.
The car can see. It helps you drive. And then, of course, the four-wheel drive capability that in all our vehicles, as it were. So that gives you a little bit, especially now with this rain, you know you'll go through it. Yeah, absolutely.
So explain eyesight.
Eyesight technology is that the vehicle is fitted with cameras that will help you see what's in front of you. So if it detects an obstruction, instant one, that you may not have picked, it will brake the car. It will apply the brakes. It will warn you. For example, we have what we call adaptive cruise control. When you engage the adaptive cruise control, the vehicle goes at 100 kilometers per hour, for example. If the guy in front of you, you approach him, is doing 90 and you're close to him, the car will decelerate to exactly 90 of the guy in front of you. You will check to overtake. If it sees an obstacle, it will warn you, it will give you lighting. Then you can overtake. Then once you overtake again, it goes back to 100 kilometers per hour.
Too much technology, good, but also at the same time, it can get noisy, can't it? Especially when you're, driving and you're close to objects. So you are parking in this country. Kuna kabush hapa, kuna ukuta pandei,
kuna bodaboda,
kuna bodaboda. Do people complain about this?
I think once you master, for me, what I always tell my advise our customers that it will be very difficult to use it in our traffic condition because we don't know how to keep good distances between ourselves. We always bumper to bumper in this country, as it were. However, when you're enjoying your ride to Narok and the road is bliss, please engage your eyesight and enjoy.
You follow with it.
Absolutely.
Siti, did you get to completely understand why all those things on the underside of a motor vehicle are considered suspension?
No. I've heard the word suspension, and what Charles described makes sense. I understand it, but why is it referred to as suspension?
Okay, suspension. We call it a suspension system because it's a combination of several components working in hand in support of the car safety and stability. So that's why I said that it combines things to do with the bushes. If one of these things, one of these components are defective, it affects the rest.
Would it also apply to situation because everything you describe in combination holds the car from the ground, so it suspends the car from the ground?
The idea basically is to suspend you and ensure that you're comfortable. So all the minor imperfections in the road should be able to be absorbed by the suspension system. When you harshly brake, you're able to make sure that you are not overly tilting when cornering and all that. So it keeps you in a steady position, it suspends you, so to speak. So that's why it works in combination with your braking system, with your springs, your tires, all those things come into effect in your suspension.
About this, what do you call the eyesight thing?
Eyesight, yes.
Yes, eyesight. Why do you think it's important?
Why it's important is that always when you're driving, you may not be able to see all that is coming in your way at some point. Sometimes you may be distracted. As nowadays, most of us tends to be distracted. You are thinking too much about the economy, about things, and your senses are not all engaged. But the car senses are all engaged. So it will beep and warn you And if there's no reaction from your side, it will take over from you and break the car just to save your life, as it were. So it's basically to assist you, but not to drive the car for you. It's basically to enhance your senses, so to speak. So like, for example, you're driving and probably not looking at your rear view mirror and somebody is harshly approaching you from the rear. It will notify you that there is a fast approaching object from the rear so that you are taking what to do.
I've actually seen where it would be useful. In a fog.
Where there's low visibility.
You can barely see beyond the bonnet of the car. If that system will see for you and it will brake appropriately.
Can those eyes of the Subaru see in the fog?
Ours are camera. You use both radar and camera. It's a combination. So it'll perform better than you can do, as it were. Because sometimes you realize in the fog, most of us drive in the fog, sometimes we tend to put the beam high. When you put it high, it reflects back
on you, so you see even less.
You see even less. So a lot of us don't know the technique behind it. And then a lot of people who fit probably what you call bulbs or lighting system in our cars after you bought the car from the showroom don't quite realize that the fog lights at the bottom ideally should not be brilliant white. You see, it should be warm and they see better. They have a better range than the white one. The white one reflects back. So a lot of things happen in this market, and you see, like now you can see when you drive on the roads at night, people have all these very bright LED lights that just blind everybody else in the process. So when they go into a fog again, they put all those things that just reflects back and even makes their vision even worse.
They don't actually see much.
Exactly. That's why. They don't see much and affect everybody else in the process.
They trauma everybody else. It's important when you buy a motor vehicle to constantly now think about how to maintain that motor vehicle and the importance of knowing your service cycles and what to look out for. And many people don't know. You just know, okay, 10,000 kilometers or 5,000 kilometers time for service. That's the basic that they know. And I want to come back to you, Charles. Is that all that we should know?
Actually, this week I just had a client that just bought a Subaru BS9. And it was like he was in a juxtaposition position. He didn't know what to do. He wanted to go to the grey market to service his car. Then I just had a discussion with him, and I told him that you need to know the service history of your car. And since you imported this car from Japan and you don't know the history, you need to start it here. And now you have to do the oil change, the CVT, the brake pads, and even the spark plugs. And from there, you will have known that I started doing this at this mileage. So that it can help you do your services on time, the minor service, the intermediate, and even the major services. So it is very important to know when to do service. And while doing services, there are different types of oil that people use, like CVTs and minerals. And you'll find that locally, you will be told that if you do mineral service with high torque oil, the car you can even do it after every 10,000 kilometers. I don't think whether it applies well in this kind of road system conditions. Sometimes it is just good to be honest with customers and tell them that these are different road condition or the different environment from what you can get from those developed countries. So I would always still watch for a 5,000 kilometer service or maybe 7,000 kilometers. For example, if I go to Kisumu today and it is during dry season, there's a lot of dust on the road. Sometimes there are no roads. I have to drive off-road. And the car is consuming all those dust and whatever. It is hard to wait until the car covers 10,000 kilometers.
So those three different types of service, right? There is minor, intermediate, major. What are they? What should happen in each of them?
Minor service just involves the change of oil filter, air filter, and the change of oil. It's just basic.
This one should not cost you much.
That's something that most of the people offer at a very minimal rate. And then intermediate now involves even some things to do with bushes. Now it involves a deeper further inspection to get to know whether you need even diff oil, You know, you need to change bushes, you need to change rackets, you inspect even the condition of the shocks.
So this one intermediary is the intermediate one is you're doing a lot of the checks as well.
Yes,
right?
a lot of the checks.
This one where the car has to go, it's raised and it goes into that bay where there's a guy under.
Check the tags.
Okay.
Yeah, get some information from the car owner. And now when it gets to service, that is now deep. It is comprehensive because it might even involve even engine check, engine service, changing other things rather than just spark plugs, rather than brake pads and whatever. It involves even changing tires and the rest.
After how many kilometers should one do the major service? If I've been doing 5,000 religiously, I mean, I do 5,000 for the minor. Then, after I've done the minor today at 5,000, when should I do the major? Or can I do like many minors and then I don't have to do the major?
The major service is supposed to be there after every 4 minor services. That is 20,000 kilometers. To some, it can be 30,000 kilometers.
What's the importance of this, Sandro?
Okay, that is generic, but when you buy a Subaru, for example, or you buy a JSE, we've got a very clear format which we give our customers on when they should come for service. And for each session that you come, you have got clear checklist of what you're going to look at.
Right.
And if you drive within acceptable parameters, I'm saying that very carefully because Kenyans, for example, you drive within acceptable parameters, your brake pads should ideally do at least 25,000. But if you drive the sample drive, then it does 10. So we've got a checklist in terms of after how many kilometers we can give you a projection of what your cost will be of owning the vehicle for the next 5 years, going by the acceptable parameters I told. So if you operate within those parameters, we can accurately determine to you what your cost of ownership would be. Because there are certain mileages at which you replace certain things without a doubt. Yeah. So now if you have that coming through our workshops, we keep a log of what you've done before. There are checks that we do and we advise you that this you need to change. This is most likely to come up in the next service. So prepare, it will cost you about this much. So that you organize our customers, don't cut them in surprises, as it were. Yeah.
Then you guys are going to tell me the spare parts more expensive than the other guy in the other areas. Why should I come to you for the expensive spare part?
Absolutely, our spare parts are not expensive. One is genuine, and number two, for Subaru, I can proudly boast that more than half of major dealers in this country actually source through us. So on Subaru parts, you tend to find more genuine parts in the market, and the price variation will not be too different from what I would sell to you. Yeah, unless you're getting a fake, as it were. And then also, I think credit to KRA, they have done a very good job in terms of our ports of entry. So anybody else who bring parallel importation will probably pay the right taxes like I do. What used to happen before is that you find established people pay taxes, some other guys use Choro Road. So you find their costs is lower. But I think of late, a lot of that has slowed down and you've seen a lot of compliance. And if you look at the market in terms of genuine parts, then you'll find that the price variation is not as big as it were. Then I also give you warranty with mine.
Warranty?
Absolutely.
For how long?
It depends on the part that you buy. Yeah.
What's the lowest warranty that you give?
It depends on the parts. Some have consumables, which may not be quite.
All right. Give a blanket statement and say, this is the lowest we can go on any product. This is the highest we can go on any product.
No, that's a dangerous statement because...
it actually isn't dangerous. You know why?
Okay, for example,
yes.
On the shocks we can give.
Shocks we give 1 year of 20,000 kilometers, whichever comes first.
Shock, 1 year.
Yeah.
1 year.
Yeah, 1 year or 20,000 kilometers, whichever comes first. Springs, we don't give warranties. Springs, we guarantee you that it will work. And we give even up to 5 years. And that guarantee, it covers the breakage or maybe dissatisfaction. So on shocks, the warranty covers specific areas like manufacturing defect. It covers maybe if there can be a noise that coming from the shock, or even It is a manufacturing defect, noise, or any leakage that comes in prematurely. Yes.
You have to add the prematurely bit there.
Yeah.
You know, something that is always, well, I've always found it interesting and peculiar is this. You buy a car and you're never quite sure what sort of tires to have on your car. Should you have one where you have a rim that offers you a low profile, a high profile, and then again, when it comes to the make, what we look at as lay people and say, like grip, okay? What exactly am I looking for and what is ideal? Since we're talking about a car that we all know, what should I be looking for?
I think all cars manufacturers give a recommendation of the tires that you should have, including tire pressure, absolutely. The unfortunate bit is that a lot of cars that we buy are ex-Japan, then the manual comes in Japanese, and then you don't read it. Unfortunately.
So you don't get to know.
So you don't get to know.
You just look at it.
And then a lot of times people have misconceptions. Like, for example, you see somebody has bought a 4x4, a big SUV. I don't want to mention names. And you go to a tire seller and sells you an off-road tire. Yes, it looks good on that vehicle, but where do you use it? Then you find that you are 90%, 99.9% you're on tarmac. That tire will wear faster than you'd imagine because it's the wrong application. So one vehicle may have two sets of tires depending on where you want to use it. And that's why you find in Europe, when it comes to winter, they put winter tires. When it comes to summer, they have summer tires. So in Kenya, we don't have that luxury. Kukinua nguo ni same to our cars. So you have the same tire throughout. We are lucky that our weather is not so, our weather is more or less stable. But still, where do you use it? If you are on road all the time, buy on-road tires. The size of the tire will always be in your manual, will always be indicated. Even if you cannot read the Japanese, just go to the internet and log in, and you'll find the recommended size tire that you should have. But whether off-road or on-road depends now on application. Where are you going to drive your car?
What determines the pressure that you put on your tires?
Application as well. And every car has it written either on the seat belt or on the tire, on the whatever. It's always there.
On the seat belt.
On the what do you call it?
On the
flip,
side.
on the flip where you open the side of the car, or some on the
flip where you open
for fuel. So depending on the manufacturer where it's put, but it's always there. And then you find some manufacturers indicate if the car is fully loaded, put this pressure. If it's this loaded, reduce this pressure. So they always pressure depending on the load that you're carrying at any one time.
The load and even the distance of which you are going, because sometimes if you are going for a long distance, you cannot put the same pressure that you are putting while you are driving in town.
Why?
The tire heats up, and then the pressure builds up.
Okay, so for instance, if I'm driving from Mombasa, and I'm coming to Nairobi, low, high altitude. So when I get to some place, should I then reduce the pressure?
If you are coming up, yes, you should. Ideally, you should, but we like just rolling it off.
Is the car heating up because of, just the continuous
friction rolling on the road, yes.
The revolution?
Not necessarily the altitude.
No, but there are two issues. If you're changing altitude, at Mombasa, the atmospheric pressure is higher. So what is 2 bars will be 2.2 bars in Nairobi, for example. So that's why when people drive from Mombasa, you hear a tire burst. The heat, the friction, and the change in atmospheric pressure. So you have all those factors playing in. So there's a bit of science in the way you use your car, as it were.
So how can one tell all these things?
We can guide you.
So you're driving now from here. You want to go to Merile.
If you're leaving Mombasa to Nairobi, what you can do is basically put slightly less pressure, because as you come up, the atmospheric pressure reduces, the tire gets hotter.
And the pressure within the tire will increase.
Automatically. So as you get on, you come to right balance. But the tires have a good range of endurance. So rarely will you have a tire burst. I'm not encouraging misuse. But a lot of us like putting it on the upper limit. That's the problem. So when you go a little bit over the heat and the pressure, then you have...
It expands.
The other thing about tires, also tires have expiry dates. Most Kenyans are not aware. So when so there's a time lapse in the tire where the compounds that are makes the tire also changes. Yeah.
Okay.
So you have a tire, some have a 5-year lifespan, some have 9, some have 10. So you can check the expiry date. It will be your manufacturer and the expiry date on the tire. So you can buy a tire today which has actually expired.
True. It's brand new, but it's expired.
Yeah, because it's been in stock somewhere for too long and nobody sold it, and most Kenyans are not aware that tires expire.
Tires have a sell-by date?
Yes.
Yes.
You're saying most Kenyans. I am one of them.
Tires have kama maziwa na mkate?
Absolutely.
So how do you check?
It's indicated on the tire.
It is indicated.
Manufacture and expiry.
On the tire?
On the tire.
Hey, okay.
So they have shelf-life.
Okay.
Yeah. Just like anything manufactured of compounds, over time it changes. So it goes over a certain time, then its elasticity and its ability to absorb various forces decreases.
Okay.
So it's a new tire, yes. You put a new tire. And you wonder, I had a new tire, but the tire busted. Then you check, the tire expired 2 years ago.
Okay. So it doesn't even matter also the usage. So that could...
that's one factor again,
that's
you should
one
check.
factor.
So when you're buying a tire, always check when was it manufactured, when it's expiry date, before you pay for it. Then now what pressure and application, which roads are you on, how are you driving, and all those things come into play. So when you buy a tire, please just check your manufacturer and expiry.
Okay.
Get that right first. Then get the tire pressure right. Then get the application right. Then you're good to go.
In this country, we talked about headlights. Kuna mahali unaenda na mbona wacha tukuoshe mataa boss. Because your taa, it has changed. What causes this? And then what do you do? Is it specific to cars? Or is it specific to the type of lamp that you bought? Or is it, again, an issue of age?
It's weathering. Over time, the sun hits it, it gets oxidized, then the composition changes. The old cars, the old technology had the glass lenses. Glass is more enduring than plastic. So when you have plastic with all this working on it, then you realize it changes, it becomes yellowish, and it does not emit the right light. So it needs to be polished a bit and all that kind of thing. So it's just a change of material of what you had. If you look at the cars that were built in the 70s and 80s, the lenses were actually glass. They would actually break. Now we have them as plastic. As to what plastic has got its limitations. It is less hazardous in terms of cutting people and everything else, but on the other side, it gets oxidized and suffer all those environmental degradation, as it were.
You know, one of the things that I've always found interesting, again, about cars is what it is that I expect from a car and what it is that I receive. Essentially, what I expect is brought about by what I am told this car can do. Okay? And that comes the marketing and the hype that goes with it.
Absolutely.
In this country, does one have recourse for returning your vehicle when those two don't match?
I think the biggest drawback we have in this country, my perception, I take that as a personal perception, is that we take cars as a status thing.
Is it not?
Rather than application.
No, is it not a status thing?
Our perception, yes, it is. But application is crucial.
Exactly not our perception, it's our reality.
Okay, our reality is a status.
That if I'm driving a Volkswagen Beetle and you're driving
old or new,
old, and you're driving a G-Wagon, the
status is the
same. Of course, it's different. But now, how do you apply it? Status is different. Status, yes, our G-Wagon. I feel sweet. I'm up there. I've got the monies. Perception, you don't have the monies. Maybe not true. But now application is whereby now, like for example, let me give a car that is abused beyond just because it has some shelf strength, Pro Box. It has turned into a truck, it has turned into a pickup, it has turned into everything.
Yes.
Yes. So when accidents happen, you go like, what happened? But was the application correct? Not too sure.
Was that what you meant with your question?
No. This guy's going to turn around my question. He's turned around the question and he's answering his own question. That's not what I asked.
Ask the question again.
What we try to do when selling and marketing cars is to understand what the customer wants the car for. Yeah. And we try to match your needs vis-a-vis what we have. And that's why at Ednah we notice that not everybody has Subaru is the answer to what they need. So we brought in JC that offers versatility. So you can give you a double cab pickup rather than give you a legacy to go to your farm. So I have a double cab for you that is 4-wheel drive that can take you there. So we are trying to make sure that we are able to provide to the needs of the customer. Of course, there will be resistance.
You know, you brought in an interesting perspective, because I've seen car manufacturers that were known to provide SUVs and saloon cars. They offer pickups. Now, why aren't you guys offering pickups?
We have
Jack.
Subaru pickup.
Yes.
Subaru pickup.
No, I'm asking the question because some of those vehicles,
double cab,
even previously didn't have lorries. They now have lorries. So you first look and you say lorry. There were some car manufacturers who were known to manufacture lorries.
Yes.
And then manufacture some really tiny looking cars. But that is what they were known for.
Yes.
Now, I'm simply asking, if you have a popular brand, are you saying you wouldn't have someone who would probably like to buy that brand but a different version of the car?
That would definitely be there. But now that goes back to the manufacturer. Where does he want to position himself?
Yeah.
It's called positioning.
Positioning. Yeah, where does he want to position himself? So you'll find that some manufacturers will provide right from a tuk-tuk all the way to an 18-wheeler.
Yes.
Some will play safe or play a niche and say, I want to play in this segment, just like Subaru. Subaru offers compact SUV, period. That's where the Subaru plays.
Compact SUV.
Yeah. So for us now, as a dealer here, we said Kenyans need more than that. So what do I do? So I bring in JSC to make sure that I'm able to fulfill what the market wants.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why the word compact?
Compact, there are several sizes of SUV. There's compact SUV, there's a huge one, so there are different varieties.
Please explain to me so that I understand compact, huge, small. Because there are some SUVs which are fairly small.
They are fairly small.
Yes, but yes.
Compact SUV, yeah, I would call it the class around what you have, the Forester is having, the Honda CR-V, the RAV4s, and all that's a compact SUV.
These are compact. Why are they called compact?
Because they are not too big and not too small. They sit somewhere right in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah, of where functionality is. Okay. They have off-road capability, but not to the level of a Land Cruiser, so to speak.
Are you sure?
Absolutely. Yeah. So it depends on why.
Is the capability better or less?
No, application. So I'm saying if you're going proper off-road and mountaineering and all that, maybe you'll need a Nissan Patrol, a Land Cruiser, or something bigger.
Okay.
So to have a big ground clearance, you've got bigger tires, you've got bigger torque and everything else. Yeah. And you're able to lock diffs, which some of the small SUVs or the compact SUVs are able to do. You can have all-wheel drive, but you're not able to lock diffs, as it were. So you find the proper off-road SUVs have all those extra capability, which also double cabs have.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Is Oriel available across the country, or is it only in Nairobi?
Okay, Oriel, as a company, we have 3 branches. We have Nairobi as headquarters, we have one in Mombasa, and one in Kisumu. And in regions where Oriel is not available, because we attend to several fleet owners like lease companies and several corporates. So wherever we don't have any of our outlets, we have the so-called dealers that form our network. So, like for example, in Nakuru we have a dealer. Eldoret we have a dealer. You go to places like Narok, Kisii, Bungoma, Kakamega, we are all over. But our main offices as Oriel is in Mombasa, Nairobi, and Kisumu. In Nairobi we have 3 outlets, one along Mombasa Road, one in Ngong Road, and one in Ojiji Road, Parklands.
Those guys that I'd find at an Oriel station, are they mechanics or are they attendants?
Or are the attendants mechanics?
We call them technicians. Yes.
What's the difference?
The difference between technician and
a mechanic.
Technicians, basically what we do as Oriel is suspension. We don't open engines. We don't work on bodyworks. We are just into service and suspension parts. Yeah. So most of our guys, we train them as technicians just to handle those light duties that go with suspension system.
Okay.
Yeah.
But do they have, how much is this training? How much of understanding of motor vehicle and its operations do they have? Apart from just looking and saying, boss, unaona hii raba?
We've got a lot of technical training institutes in the country. that we recruit from. Then we scale up with in-house trading to let them appreciate the products that we sell. So first of all, product trading. Oriel does aftermarket parts. So what Oriel sells is all brands, not just Subaru. We service all brands. So they understand the application of what shock will work with which car, what bush fits in what, and what springs fit in what, and how do you test the elasticity of all those things in place. So after the normal training in our technical institutes, then now we bring them in-house and does training specific to the products that we sell and the applications.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the motor show that we'll be participating in this weekend. What should you expect to see when you come to the ECTA stand?
In the ECTA stand, we'll have Subarus, Outback and Forester, and Crosstrek. We have 3 brands that we currently sell in this country with different levels of each. Then we also have JC, Jack, of which we have the electric double cab, electric trucks, but we also have diesel versions of the same as well. And then we'll also have our suspension specialists, the Oriel team will also be there as well, to explain about suspension and applications and where we can be able to service you.
I see.
Yeah. And then we'll also display parts in terms of Subaru and JC as well, and where within our network you can access the same.
Okay.
Thank you.
So someone can even come there and make an order, right? Make a reservation to visit an Oriel at a later date.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you very much. So where will it be? Tell people where the motor show is going to be. It's at Sarit, your city,
Yes.
right? So Andrew Omolo is the Group Sales and Marketing Manager at ECTA, the dealers in the country of Subaru, of the JAC or Jack electric mobility vehicle, pickups and trucks, and also Oriel. Charles Alo is the Oriel Ngong Road branch manager. He knows 75 things about suspension. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for being with us. Keep it here for more conversations. 9 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga. The Kenya Wildlife Service has warned residents near Langata Women's Prison in Nairobi to continue to remain vigilant following reports of 3 lions allegedly spotted nearby. The Kenya Wildlife Service says it has ramped up efforts to locate the lions, further urging members of the public to report any wildlife sightings to the KWS hotline for prompt intervention. Nakuru Governor Susan Kihika is today expected to appear before the Senate Health Committee to be questioned about the closure of the War Memorial Hospital. The clerk of the Senate, Jeremiah Nyengenye, said the committee has also allowed Kihika to appear before it, accompanied by any officer who will assist in providing the needed information. The order to ask the governor to appear for questioning follows a request submitted by her senator, Khabitha Karanja, last December. Senator Karanja wants the county government to issue a plan that will see more than 300 workers compensated after they lost their jobs following the closure of the War Memorial Hospital. 2 police officers have been praised for using a motorcycle to ferry to the mortuary the body of a man who had drowned in a river in Kapenguria, West Pokot. The officers from the local police station rode for at least 3 kilometers with the body tied on the motorcycle to reach where they'd parked their official vehicle. Police said a chief in Kiamakeo village had reported that the body of an unknown male adult was found floating in River Chesra. Activists have threatened to hold demonstrations against government's proposal to scrap off school feeding program in Asal and informal settlements. Tunza Mtoto Coalition Executive Director Janet Okoh said the fact that the National Treasury has not allocated any funds for the program in the next financial year is a big red flag. Okoh cautioned the government against undoing programs that have worked, further accusing the current regime of being obsessed with cutting down education funding, which started with capitation. And still on matters education, junior secondary school teachers in Bungoma County are now blaming Kuppet for not supporting them at this time as they continue to fight for their right to be permanently employed as well as their salary increased. At a meeting with journalists in Webuye, the teachers have accused Kuppet leadership under Secretary General Kelo Misori for remaining silent despite being under them.
You know, our PNP guys are under the union of Kuppet, but we are surprised that only a few of the Kuppet leaders at the county level are supporting us. We want to hear from Kelo Misori calling other teachers to join us in this war.
We've really suffered, and it's very shameful to you Teacher Service Commission of giving a graduate of 2022 PNP later, leaving Amokul who graduated 2014. We are demanding you TSC, can you obey the court order?
Similarly, the teachers have said that they'll not accept to be threatened by head teachers who've told them to go back to work, saying that they're simply exercising their constitutional right.
And I want to send the warning to HOI who are sending texts and calling our fellow Mughals by threatening them. We are not going to condone intimidations and threat. We are protected and we are executing our right as it is in the Constitution.
I also want to send a warning to the heads of institutions who are threatening we moguls that we are supposed to be in school, sending I don't know which letters that are supposed to be filled. We are not going to fill them. We know our right.
And finally, police officers in Nyamira are still looking for a woman who reportedly left her 3-week-old son at Nyamira General Hospital. According to witnesses, the woman arrived at the facility and asked a stranger to hold the child for a short while as she bought some goods on the street only for her not to return. The child is being cared for at the facility as police officers search for any close relatives who can link them to his mother. That's the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
It's critical that people pay taxes. But then taxation has to have a limit. When you start overtaxing people beyond certain limit, then this now we call robbery with violence.
We are all struggling, but we don't show. If you're not doing well, shame on you. But you have to say, I'm broke and I'm struggling. We are not okay until everybody is okay.
We are pretending to have political parties. Why don't we just be honest? And we say, these are the Luyas, these are the Kambas, these are the Kikuyus, and we find ourselves in Kenya.
You know, with politics and leadership, no matter what you do, there will always be a complaint. There will always be the assumption that you're either stealing or you're not doing things right. As a leader, don't fear. If you know you're doing the right thing, you've thought about it, you've got an expert advice, do it, then understand later.
This country, we don't need prayers. Prayers is between you and God. Good governance and thinkers who care about the country and not their stomach.
That's what we need.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Yeah, so there was an issue earlier on Outer Ring Road. It's now cleared up, and that was between the Kangundo Road Junction and Juja Road Junction. It's moving. Kiambu Road heading towards town. It's beginning now at Muthaiga Golf Course, coming towards the interchange, and thereafter it clears. Thika Superhighway has also cleared. Traffic just begins at Survey area and Utali. And then the issue today, as always, this morning's is Limuru Road, all the way from UN Avenue, coming up to the Muthaiga Junction. Very, very, very busy, and it's been like that. Uhuru Highway is now where the problem is, or no, where it's all busy coming into town from all sides. This is from the Wayakiwe side, and also from the Mombasa Road side. Ngong Road has cleared. The issue now just remains on Naivasha Road, T-Mall Junction. That's where the issues are. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Good morning, 8 minutes after 9. On to the final hour of the Situation Room this week, this Friday, 17th day of May 2024. We still want to keep reminding you about the e-teams, how easy it is to register, how easy it is to generate a tax invoice, and how easy is that, City?
Well, it's easy as 222.
It's that simple.
Yes,
it's not that the A, B, C, those are men. And not 1, 2, 3. No, just 2, 2, 2.
That's 222. Star. 222.
Reminds me of those adverts for when they started increasing the treatment for malaria. And it had an entire name. What do you call that? Therapy. 4, 2, 2, 2, 2.
Well, they were telling you, yes, you start with this.
4 tablets and then 2, 2, 2.
Over this period of time,
yeah,
and then you should feel better. But if you don't feel better,
see the doctor.
See the doctor.
Labda yako ni ile ya cerebro, ile wazimu.
Bado na daktari tu.
Kuna malaria ile wazimu.
Atakuelekeza. Akwambia.
But for care, it's 222.
Yes, 222. Yes, and ukibonyeza, as we say in Kiswahili, you will come across an array of options. The options you want to choose is care. And when you get there, bonyeza tena, you'll then be given an option and details to fill in. Now, the key component to this particular section is the PIN number of the organization or entity that you want to send the invoice to. Now, if you don't know it, then ask them. They'll give it to you.
That's it.
Now, once you do that, you will be e-teams compliant. Now, what does e-teams stand for? It's Electronic Tax Invoice Management System.
Evo.
As simple as that.
Bas. Now, this weekend, the English Premier League comes to an end. Okay? Big games happening, all of them on Sunday. There are people who will be, up there trying to win the league. Only 2 teams. It's either Arsenal or Man U can win the league in that order. Either Arsenal or Man City in that order. And then there are others who are battling to play in the European season next season, either in the Champions League or in the Europa League. Okay, there are those who will be battling for those positions. Others will be battling for survival in the Premier League. Relegation battles as well. Maybe somebody will just say, okay, man. And then others will be looking like, if we just drop a point and these other guys get their point, Nikubaya. So, how do you watch the English Premier League finale this Sunday? For as low as 500 shillings, you can subscribe to Showmax and you get to watch it. Now, the 500 bob gives you access to the Showmax on your mobile device. This is wherever you are, Makatu Chini. Or then you look at the higher packages that allow you to watch on multiple screens. Showmax.com is where to think of, or you can download the Showmax app on your mobile device. That's Play Store or App Store, the Showmax app. Something else in terms of sports will be happening big this July. The Summer Olympics take place from the 24th of July all the way until August, somewhere close to the middle of August. And Kenya is preparing to go and do one better than we did in the last Olympics. Okay? And every time we're like, okay, we've got our athletes. We have now we have even sprinters. We even have tennis people. We have what was snow. Those ones.
Yes. Ile boat ambayo inatembea kwa snow.
Kwa snow.
Yes.
How? And others. Kenya has an organizing committee, the National Olympics Committee, And then we have a secretariat. And then we've got now the athletes who will be participating. We want to start a series today that will be looking at our journey towards Paris 2024. What happens in our preparation for our athletes? Are they getting the best treatment? When they're going there, will they be sleeping in Kiamaiko? Will they be sleeping at Marriott? We have to know.
Or in between.
And why? Okay? Do they have their visas on time? All those things. The person who is responsible for that is the CEO of the Team Kenya Paris Olympics, Wanjiru Karani. She's our guest. Good morning, Wanjiru.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Welcome to the hot seat of the Situation Room.
Asante sana.
Now, the boss is here. The boss is the Secretary General of the National Olympic Committee of Kenya. That is Francis Mutuko. Good morning, Francis.
Good morning.
Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Hapa tuko mambo ya Olympics.
Kabisa, we are very happy to come.
Very
68
good.
days to go.
60. We are counting them in days now.
Yes.
68 days to go. You'll tell us more about it, how our preparations have been and what we should expect as we, fine-tune these preparations. Siti, welcome them with the day's proverb.
Yes, our proverbs for the whole of this week have been from the Republic of Malawi.
Does Malawi ever participate in the Olympics?
They
Yes,
do.
they do.
They do. You even see them with
they
teams. Like I was looking at the All Africa Games. They even had teams in the long sprint. Long sprint is 400 ile round moja. Yes, I saw the name featured. Yes.
Okay.
I will leave the discussion there.
Bas. The proverb?
The proverb this is the last proverb from the country and for the Republic of Malawi. What has gone through the ear has gone right in.
What has gone through the ear has gone right in. Wanjiru, what's your interpretation of this proverb?
Well, what you have heard, you can't unhear, perhaps.
It's a good one. What you have heard, you can't unhear. Francis, what's yours?
Once it's in, it's in. It can't come out. To go take it a little bit further, you own it, you take responsibility.
I see. So that's what you think. That's a deeper meaning. That's what the Malawians are saying.
Yes, that once you've had and it's in, now you are the carrier of it. Whether you stay with it, you move it forward, or you pass it on, it's in, because it's come through the ear and it's inside.
Okay. Now tell us about NOC. We every time just around the Olympics we hear about NOC, the National Olympics Committee. Tell us about this and the association with the international body.
The National Olympic Committee brings together all the federations which are in the Olympic and Commonwealth program. I know a lot of people are familiar with the Olympic because every 4 years we come together in celebration. Commonwealth is a little bit not as known as the Olympics, but it brings together about 74 nations and territories, formerly British colonies, but since about 10 years ago, they have expanded to beyond British territories. Rwanda has come in. Recently, we had Togo come in, so it is territories and countries. The federations, a lot of people would know of football, rugby, athletics, volleyball, tennis, or the martial arts. All those constitute to bring together the National Olympic Committee. Our main objective is to put together Team Kenya in multi-sports events. Multi-sports event is where there is more than one event happening. For example, the Commonwealth, the Olympics, and the youth versions. Youth Commonwealth like we did last year, or Youth Olympics like will be happening later in 2026, and the big one, of course, is the Olympics. What we know as Olympics, especially in Kenya and in Africa, is actually the Summer Olympics. But there is also a version of Winter Olympics. Winter Olympics is all the sports which are played around the snow. Like recently we've had Kenyans been in the cross-country skiing, in alpine skiing, in slalom. So we also put the team in that particular event, including the same youth version of the Winter Olympics. We have a responsibility as an executive committee, the management committee, and the mission team to the various games to put together those teams and to prepare them for participation. For the participation, we work very, very closely and in collaboration with the Ministry of Sports, because finally the principal funder for Team Kenya is the Ministry of Sports, and also because we are carrying the Kenyan flag when we go. Beyond Olympics, we have very many programs. We give athletes scholarships. Like now, there have been athletes who have been on scholarship for the last 4 years. We train administrators on administration courses. We build capacity. We train coaches. We have youth programs. We have a lot of programs mainly to build capacity building, to promote the Olympic values, and some of the Olympic values are like gender equity. So we have a lot of programs around the women empowerment programs. Recently, we've come out very strongly on sustainability matters, because in sports and environment is also a core value. We have the National Olympic Committee Institute, whose work is to educate practitioners in sports so that they can be able to advance in their respective areas. We are about to sign an agreement with 2 universities to be able to provide coaches who have grown out of their practice to be able to start attaining academic papers. We also have sports and active society. That is just to get people active. It doesn't matter whether you are at elite level or you are growing, then we give people that particular opportunity to be able to do it. So, as part of the International Olympic Committee, whose vision is to make this world a better place through sports, is to work on preparing athletes to participate in the biggest event of Olympics, to promote the Olympic values, and with everything we do to make sure the athlete is at the center of everything we do.
So basically, the National Olympic Committee is a full-time committee. It's not just, it doesn't just get activated every 4 years because actually there is the Summer Olympics as we know them. You're constantly in office doing things, preparing teams for the Paralympics, for the Winter Olympics, for the Summer Olympics, and all the programs that you're running. Now let's talk about the upcoming games, the Paris Olympics, right? So when you're coming to an Olympics, like now this one, the 2024 one, is there anything different that you do in terms of your organization to prepare Team Kenya for this?
Yes, we normally put what we call a mission team. In the last few years, we've been trying to develop, professionalize, and enhance the participation in the games. Before we'd put a mission team 1 year. This time we put a mission team 2 years advance in advance of the Olympics. What a lot of people do not know, and we always want to tell them at every opportunity like we have now, is that Olympics preparation starts immediately after the end of Olympics. For example, we are about to go for the 2024 Paris Olympics, which will end sometime in August. Immediately we start preparing for LA Olympics, which will be happening in 2028. And while preparing for LA Olympics in 2028, we also have an eye on 2032 Brisbane Olympics. So it's a continuing cycle program. The reason is in 2032 Olympics, probably a 12-year-old or a 14-year-old needs to be prepared for that particular one, and that's what we do. So what's different is that there is increased focus on the qualification. Unfortunately, our infrastructural development is such that a lot of funding comes toward the tail end. Our preference would be the funding comes early in the cycle. But because not too much can be changed last minute, you find there's a lot of increased efforts. Because the question is, how does one get to the Olympics? One gets to the Olympics through the ranking. And that's why that early start is important. Because to get good ranking, you need to go practically in as many competitions as possible, pick up points, build them up, keep your ranking going up. So by the cutoff period, depending on the respective sports discipline, then if you are within the ranking required, then you qualify for Olympics. The second one is to have what is called direct Olympic qualifiers events, and that's where most of our Kenyans get the opportunity, because within the ranking lane, we are not very successful because of limited funding. That one, you need a lot of money to be able to travel. So we wait until when we have qualification rounds, for example, the African Games. African Games for Africa is normally an Olympic qualifier. All different sports disciplines have continental championship to be able to compete. For example, people are familiar with rugby. Rugby qualified to Olympics through the African path when we won against South Africa. We also failed with the women within the same level. So there's those continental championship. And then the last one, which we do not get so much in Kenya, is what is called a universality. Universality, a lot of people in sports know it as a wild card. This is where you are just given an opportunity to participate in Olympics because of the universal nature of the Olympics. The universal nature of Olympics is that it brings together 205 nations from across the world in celebration. So sometimes the organizers see that certain quarters of the world do not have an ability to produce an athlete who can qualify, so they offer the universality position to be able to get everybody in it. In Kenya, we benefit out of that in the swimming event. Even if we do not get swimmers qualify, we are able to get 2 slots under the universality program. So that's what we normally focus on, try to get everybody to get them on qualify.
Board. Okay. So 2 years now, we have, 2 years ahead of time this time, we've a team that is now the mission team for Paris 2024. Is that now the one that you're heading?
Yes. We have a chef de mission, and I support the CDM. Yes.
So you now as CEO, what's your job?
My job is to make sure all the preparations are in place. It is to make sure that all our athletes receive every possible support they can to prepare and then to compete, to make sure they have a seamless journey from now until the end of the games, at the end of their competition.
And what does that entail?
It entails looking at so many things. We call them functional areas. So you'll find the transport, the flights from here. First of all, we have to enter them into the games. Then we have to accredit them. Then we have to find them accommodation. How are they going to move around? It's a whole array of items.
Does that mean that then you're dealing with those athletes that have qualified, or are you dealing with athletes that are seeking qualification?
So we started off dealing with those who are seeking qualification. So we also helped them through that process as much as we could. And then now once they qualify, now they're truly Team Kenya in Team Kenya. Now from there we give them all the support they need. We have things like Team Kenya camps. You'll find the sprinters have been in camp as they were waiting to qualify before they went to Bahamas, before they went to Miramas, before they went to South Africa, all in a bit just to prepare them to qualify. Then after that, now they come into our hands and we are able to give them further support.
Okay.
You mentioned something about the crucial funding coming towards the end or when the Olympics are just about to take place. Why is this?
This is out of the historical nature of the way we approach sports. That's number one. Number two, secondly, when you look at the corporate support want to associate themselves with a big event. There are not so many corporates who would come at the foundational level where we want to start supporting the athletes. But because Olympics is such a big event, is such a big brand, then you find it draws in a lot of attraction. Our funding model from the government has been towards participation in events, participation in competitions, and you find that is always at the end of it. If we change our funding models to development, you'd find that like now, immediately after the 2024 Olympics, we'll sit down immediately and see which are the areas where we have a comparative advantage and we need to prepare, identify the athletes, start putting them in the program. Through the International Olympic Committee support program of scholarships, we've been able to do that in a minimal way because we select, like now we've had 12 athletes under that particular scholarship program. That scholarship program runs for 4 years with main objective being to try and get athletes to qualify because sometimes the journey is quite tough. This supports them in coaching and in travel.
But Francis, so where does the bulk of your funding come from? When you say that, we get our funding towards the tail end, where is it coming from?
From government. Now, in terms of participation to Olympics, 90% of it comes from government.
Through the Ministry of Sports?
Through the Ministry of Sports.
Okay. The government operates with an annual budget. Are we saying that on the third year or fourth year, every 3 or 4 years, there's an increased budgetary allocation to the Ministry of Sport for supporting Olympics, and then it dips after the Olympic?
I think it's not so much of an increment, but a reallocation. That during the Olympic year, more funds are diverted towards Olympics, while for the other year, probably into other areas of priority in terms of sports. Maybe competitions, like if I give, for example, last year would have been the African Games, but they were postponed to this year. The previous year, you'll always find there's one big event happening every so often. So ours comes after every 1 year. And after 2 years, you find there's also the Commonwealth Games, where the funding again increases toward that particular area.
And you say it's historical, meaning we've accepted that's the way it works.
Historical, not accepting, but what we have to change. But let me give probably light at the end of the tunnel. What has changed, especially now. Before, you'd find by this time we have not put any support to the preparation of the athletes. But this year we are very happy.
By this time?
Yes. And we are
You'll
saying,
find 68 days to go. We still are swimming in the ocean.
That has been the practice in the past. However, this year, things have changed. By now, we've started putting teams in camps. We started supporting teams first to try and qualify, which is extremely, extremely important. And secondly, to provide them the best preparation possible. So we can be able to say all the teams which have qualified now, all we are doing is working with the respective federations to tell us what are the technical requirements of preparation. So this is a much better year in terms of preparation, in terms of athlete support, and in terms of focusing on the critical aspect, which is preparation. We like telling people that the medals are not won at the Olympics. The medals are won way ahead in terms of how we prepare and what we do beforehand. And that's where our focus has been. Secondly, this year also we've been very lucky because corporate support has come way in advance. Quite a number.
How did that happen?
I want us to take a break first, then we can continue the conversation shortly. At 29 minutes past 9, we are talking about Kenya's preparations to the Paris Olympics. That will be later this year. 68 days, right? That's what you said.
Yes.
We are counting down. 68 days to go. Francis Mutuku is the Secretary General of the National Olympic Committee, and then Wanjiru Karani is the Team Kenya Paris Olympics CEO. She is running that admin side of ensuring that all the athletes that will be participating in the Paris Olympics are prepared. Back shortly. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Do you have the passion, the interest to tell a story to the world in your own style? Well, we're ready to take you in and help you grow your talents in the media industry. The Standard Group, in partnership with Talanta Institute, is offering a media training and incubation program courtesy of Standard Talanta Academy, where we nurture and guide industry talents on an array of topics from writing, reporting, media law and ethics, investigative journalism and research to the Kenya Copyright Board, Kenya Film Commission and the Kenya Films and Classification Board legal frameworks. To apply to the Standard Talanta Academy for our upcoming May intake, visit www.talanta.ac.ke or call 0724 468 468. The Standard Talanta Academy.
The weather with SpiceFM.
It's warming up in Nairobi. It's now 18 degrees. It's going to rise to 24. Mombasa, sunny at 27. Malindi is sunny at 29. That's very, very hot. The highs will be 31 later today. Kakamega, sunny at 24. Eldoret, sunny at 18. Nyeri, sunny at 19. Nakuru, sunny at 19. Kisumu, sunny at 26. And then we go to Kinshasa, which will be hot. Well, mostly cloudy at 24. Mostly cloudy as well, and sunny in Kampala at 24. Addis Ababa, sunny at 19. Mogadishu, mostly sunny at 30. Lagos, 25 and sunny day. Johannesburg, sunny at 15. Dar es Salaam, sunny at 26. And then we go to Paris, which is cold, mostly cloudy at 10. And London, sunny at 11. New York, clear skies and cloudy later, 16.
some very nice, mature music.
It really took me back to my days, and I can just feel and enjoy the vibes.
Spice.
I'm a big listener of SpiceFM.
You play the best music.
This is 94.4 Spice FM.
It's cleared up everywhere else apart from Thika Superhighway, where you're coming down towards the Muthaiga interchange. It's still busy. You know the thing about Limuru Road and Muthaiga, it's also very busy. Westlands heading into town is busy. And this is at around the General Mathenge, not General Mathenge, actually, this is just heading into the mall junction. Ngong Road is okay. Mombasa Road has been busy as you get into the Bunyala roundabout. It's still busy, especially Aerodrome Road. The rest of the roads are all right.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
This is the Situation Room. It's Kenya's biggest conversation. At 28 minutes to 10 this morning, we are talking about Kenya's road and preparation to the Paris Olympics. 68 days to go. The Secretary General of the National Olympic Committee is Francis Mutuku. He's our guest, alongside Wanjiru Karani, who's the CEO of the Team Kenya Paris Olympics. Francis, as we went into the break, you said this time we've gotten funding a bit earlier. So you've gotten funding from the government a bit earlier. You're also getting corporate support that's coming in a bit earlier. And City had asked you, how did this happen? Especially the corporate coming in to support early.
Like I said, we've been, especially after we came into the office, we've been on a journey of transformation. We've been on a journey of transforming, first, the approach to sports, secondly, the management, and then probably maintaining the clear objective of athlete-centered programs. We had a lot of lessons we learned in Tokyo 2020, despite the COVID situation, and therefore one of the things we've been stressing to all our stakeholders is that preparation is everything in terms of participation. And on that journey, we started engaging very many people in good time. We've had very many retreats with government. We've had very many reach out to partners. We've had very many opportunities to explain our journey, our thoughts, and our vision around Team Kenya. And this time, we are proud and very happy that a lot of people are buying into that narrative of preparation, of giving our athletes the best chance in the best time possible. And that's why this year it's working. Are we there where we'd want to be yet? Not yet. But are there positive and great improvements in this year? Certainly. With government, with corporates coming at a very good time. And we are telling them we don't want an approach of sponsorship. We want an approach of partnership, where they come in and they stay with us for probably 4 years, because of the cycle we are able to. So even the ones who are on board to show what we need to do next time is that they don't go out.
They stay
the
on
experience
board.
Is good for them.
Right.
There's mutual benefit for everybody. They stay on so that we start the next cycle at much earlier.
But you see, one of the issues that when you talk about money, not just for Olympics, but more so when it comes to sports and money, is then how that money is utilized and the public perception of it. So you see, okay, our athletes have gone, how they performed, and then you start looking back at, so what happened in the preparation for this? Yeah, there was limited resources coming in, the corporates did not come in on time, but then ask why? Because of the scandals of the previous events. So I want to ask the question, every time not every time, but when we're going to the Olympics, there's always the question of who is going in for these Olympics, who's boarding the plane, who is staying in the hotel in Paris. This time, Wanjiru, how many joyriders do we have? We can allow a couple. Maybe we can have a plus or minus 5%.
There's always the odd joyrider who's useful. He helps the group feel spiritually together.
No,
those ones we allow, but
what's the margin for joyriders?
No. We shall have no joyriders. Everybody who goes will have a role, will have a clearly defined role.
And zero?
It is true. We shall publish the list. So you shall have the list.
Lists have been published before. Lists have been published before.
Yeah.
And then you wonder, hey, how did this person get there and he was not on the list?
Their role is clear as well.
Their role is, yes.
Yeah, no, so
Okay,
long
but
as they're on
please
the
go on.
roll. Yeah, so long as they're on the list, then they have a role and they have a purpose to be in Paris, and their purpose is to support Team Kenya.
Okay.
Anybody
Let's
else?
go.
Somebody can show up in Paris.
In the order of
we are not in
importance.
control.
In the order of importance, who's the most important to be on the list and who's the least important? I mean, who, if pesa ikosekana, wewe ngojea basi ingine.
So the most important, first of all, is the athletes, right? So that we are in agreement. Athletes and their direct support, who are coaches and team managers. Least important. I think everybody who will be there will certainly have a role and will need to be in Paris. You don't think so? Why is that?
We see politicians who aren't in the Ministry of what's athletics, sports, and the acolytes. The Rio Olympics, we haven't fully recovered
yes,
from what happened.
That is true.
Because anything that could go wrong actually went wrong. So, and you could directly relate that to the performance of the athletes. Because the impression that has been given over the years that the officials are more important than the athletes. The politicians are more important than the athletes. And the complaints are valid when you look at them and you know what happened. And it's not just, when you talk about athletes, you talk about the boxing federation, you're talking about the football federation. It's like a colored, copy-pasted outcome.
Template.
Yes, exactly. In football, we use the same template. Now, what we're saying is, we know the potential. When you have Kenyans competing in Winter Olympics, okay?
Correct.
The effort that goes into it, the interest, the obstacles that they must overcome, because we don't have winter here. And you're not going to tell me they're going to train in Mount Kenya.
What we do,
Yes.
and perhaps to help people understand, will be to pose a question. We are very clear on the Rio 2016. Very clear. What do you remember of Tokyo 2020? Probably nothing, because there was no scandal. And we managed to run the Tokyo 2020 Olympics almost perfectly. And that's why our memories are still for Rio, because that's where something happened. And the performance was good. The travel was good. The accommodation was sorted. All athletes got their allowances before they boarded the flight. When they came back, they were able to get their bonus allowances, and those who performed well, they were able to be given. That's why it's quiet around Tokyo 2020. There's been a lot of improvement. At least we can authoritatively speak from the Olympic level. We can be able to say we've managed the Commonwealth Games, we managed the African Beach Games, we managed the Youth Commonwealth Games, and we can be able to very freely ask that you bring any of the athletes who were in the part of that particular program, and they come and give their own experience and give their own judgment in terms of their practice or in terms of how they were managed. That is what gives us a lot of confidence as we go to Paris 2024, that the needs of the athletes, at least as far as the mission of Olympics is concerned, are very simple and very straightforward. That the allowances must be paid on time. There's been improvement on how that is done. It doesn't go through any of the administrators. It goes directly from the sports fund to the account of the individual athletes, what we call the local allowance and what we call the participation allowance. And the rule has been, as far as Olympics are concerned, no athlete will board the plane before the allowance. For practical reasons, some are family members. They need to pay for their rent, for their fees, they need to leave money for, so that when they go, they are settled. Second item is the kit. Again, the question would be, when last you had somebody complaining they have not gotten kit? We are able to, by the beginning of June, to publish what each athlete will get in terms of the item. We are able to say you'll get 2 tracksuits, you'll take 2 pairs of shoes, you'll get socks, ABC. We're able to publish that. We distribute it publicly. So it's not somebody being called somewhere. People come and see, so that we see what each person has been given. The second one is where we still have a lot of time to improve is on the flights. For us, we emphasize that the flights, because this we have to work in conjunction with government, that we book the flights in good time so that they do not have too much layovers in any of the transit points, and as much as possible, at least for Paris, should be a direct flight. So those are the 3 critical areas which have been affecting our athletes. We're even saying that is too basic. That should be sorted.
You should go further.
We are moving to performance. How do we promote the performance? And that's why now our focus is not so much of the basic travels which any travel agent can sort within one day, but we are moving to more critical areas of the performance, and that's where probably a lot of work still needs to be put in. It has started. We still have a long way to go. The focus, the commitment, and the team which is able to deliver that is in place. We just need to work more.
Okay, on time. Ask City.
You hadn't finished what you're saying. Checklist. I want to hear
the most important athletes.
Yeah, I want to hear
and
this
the
checklist.
support cast. Who is in that support cast? This is the physio, the coach,
the doctors, the team managers. We have who else? We have a management team, administration. Have I left out anybody else?
Nutritionist, nowadays you have a sports
performance
scientist,
team, yes.
Sports psychologist, because of the mental issues now. We have to get a lot of people to be able to support. Perhaps what we need our listeners to increasingly understand, especially in the world of sports, and I'm sure a lot of people, especially they'll be watching the EPL finals, you'll be able to see how many people will be on the bench. In the same way with sports, sports has improved that it's no longer one athlete, one coach. It is one athlete and a team of.
It's a team of coaches.
A team of coaches. So sometimes somebody might very simply look at the ratios and say these ratios are too many. Then they say no, these are too many people. We are trying to build up a strong team around it.
Okay.
What we can assure our fellow Kenyans and supporters and people who support sport is that we want as many people as possible to go to Paris to support Team Kenya. We have published information on how they can travel. We've given them on how they can apply for visas, how they can get their tickets, how they can book their accommodation. There are even Kenyans in Paris who are ready to host Kenyans who go there. So I want people to pay. What the problem is when they go at the expense of an athlete. And we are saying that will not happen.
So that will not happen?
That will not happen.
Do you have a maximum number of athletes that you are going to take to Paris this year?
We don't have a maximum number. We encourage all athletes to try and qualify. The more, the merrier. Currently, we are at about 80. So we hope that we can continue qualifying a few more before.
Now, that comes into, what's the cutoff date for qualifications for?
So for each sport is different, but I think the very last one should be 30th of June.
Which one is this?
Athletics.
Which? All fields of athletics?
All fields of athletics.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's something that I mentioned in passing during the break, benchmarking. How do we compare with other nations that we compete with? America comes to mind because they seem to have representation in everything. Okay? But let's look at the sector where we are good at, running. Okay? When we look at the way we prepare our runners, do we compete favorably with other nations who also bring in their runners? Because in the not too distant past, we have seen, for instance, Uganda has the middle distance races where we excel, and we have excelled for so long. I think other people just gave up, but Ugandans haven't. So you find Ugandan athletes coming in. You find other nations trying to come in. Like there's this gentleman who is shocking us with steeplechase, which we knew we had the patent for. And the person has come and it's not good anyway. There it is. Now, what I'm saying is, do we benchmark the training of our athletes? And if we do, how do we fare? How favorably do we fare with other nations whom we compete with?
In all fairness, what we achieve as a country is close to a miracle. Because in serious sports engagement, to win a medal in Olympics, research has been done of how much investment financially is done. We are a steeplechase nation, strong. But how many steeplechase facilities
do we have?
How many academies of steeplechase? How many stadiums of steeplechase? Facilities of steeplechase? We do not have. So that's what I'm saying. We just achieve. Our Kenyans are just talented, resilient, and work very, very hard. I'll give an example. We were giving a talk at one of the universities in France, International University of Marseille, and the students there asked us our total budget. And we gave them our total budget. They were in shock. And they asked, how do you manage to win medals?
Is it possible to mention the amount on radio?
No.
But you gave it to students.
For academic purposes. but they were in shock because they compared that with what is put behind the French. And let's take a practical example of our rugby players. Practical example. They need to go to train in the morning.
Yes.
Somebody will wake up from wherever they are. Probably they have slept and we are not sure whether they ate very well. Get into a matatu, get into the jam and try to be at the RFUA ground very early in the morning. Prayerfully that they have not been mugged or attacked on the road. They train and they have to rush back to work or to also and get some money. And then in the evening they have to go back. Meanwhile, a professional in another country has woken up in a very good facility, very good food, where nutrition has prescribed what they need to eat, with all the facilities. They have trained in the morning, they go and rest. Then they come back and rest because they are paid to do that. We still need to be able to professionalize our sport, to be able to support what we have as talent, a lot of talent in our country, so that we can be able to succeed. Because we say if we are succeeding with so much talent, but very little behind it, then we can do so much more. How is it possible? Because even our economy should be able to support our athletes. There are very few athletes who are living off just being sports people. Because an average Kenyan, like there is a big match on Sunday between our under-17 team, but how many Kenyans will go and pay to watch? Most of them will want it to be free. And already FKF has said to encourage people to go and support, it will be free. How many people buy any sort of merchandise to support that team? How many of our big corporates and the very rich Kenyans put money behind sports like they put behind education, just for example?
But I think that's where the federations come in. Your intent is that's where the federations come in, and even the organizers. So, for example, I've been asking this question when we have those national trials for the Olympics. Okay, I always say that's when the Olympic is actually happening. Because when you know who is going to participate in a certain race, that person is definitely medaling. Okay. How much publicity is given towards these Olympic trials, apart from just the teams and the federations knowing, apart from the guys in the military, the police, really knowing that they're going to compete? How much do you tell us to come to Nyeri Stadium and know that this weekend we are going to have this? How much do you even approach media for partnership to say, live stream this thing so everybody can see? How much build-up is there for it? Because that's an opportunity for merchandising, for getting gate collections, for a lot of other things, or even bringing corporate sponsors.
Very true. Would have loved even to announce that right now, but as it is, we don't even know which stadium we'll use because the stadiums have been closed in preparation for AFCON in 2027. So if we had a stadium, we could announce the trials. If we knew where the event will be happening. That's what I'm saying. We have the goodwill as sports practitioners. We are doing our best, and we definitely like sports. We go and you find the ground is rough, but you still have to give it your best. So we are working toward those particular areas. We are trying to influence the other stakes which are beyond our control to be able to align towards a lot of support. A lot of federations, despite the challenges and despite the history of problem mismanagement, despite a few areas where we still have to correct, because the areas we have to correct, we still need to bring as many stakeholders as possible to realize how important, how critical, what a pivotal the sports are in our country, so that we can be able to give all our athletes as much opportunity as possible. So yes, we'll do it. Once we know which stadium we are using, we'll be able to make announcements.
Tell us
we are
the
right,
dates.
we are starting.
That's it. I was going to tell you, Bonamtuku, we just need the date.
15th, wherever it's going to be. Hata ukisema tuende Kawangware.
We'll say prepare for the 15th.
No. Yes.
This event is taking place on the 15th.
The Olympics.
The Olympics, 15th.
Will be on the 15th. And then thereafter we cheer the one who goes to win.
Yes, and then when you know the day, even if it's the day before, we say, on this date, in this place. See?
And we are going to have merchandise for Team Kenya. We'll bring the merchandise. Kenyans will be able to get it because it will be across the country so that people can wear proudly. Support by buying it. Support Team Kenya, and even the funds which will be gained from that particular merchandising program will go to our youth programs so that we can be able to prepare the next Olympiad.
I'm sorry, Francis, but I am absolutely not convinced at all that the National Olympic Committee is doing anything towards this. I mean, the 15th of June is when the Olympics begins for Kenya, right? This is, I mean, not begins, but this is the main one. This is the one where we are saying, so who are we going to be cheering come Paris? Which we start having those debates between these two, who's actually bringing the gold and who's bringing the silver. It's a big thing.
That build-up is
it's the 17th now.
It just so happens that we like sports, so we'll participate in watching. But can you imagine how much more could be done if it is hyped?
And we are all going to be watching the Olympics come July. We will all be watching the Olympics. And then we should have this whole story right now. This is what we should be seeing. But anyway, let me ask about tennis. Because this time, we are getting a medal in tennis, aren't we?
Amen to that.
Yes. Tell us about the preparations for tennis. And then now from the federation side, right? And then from the secretariat side.
Yeah, so of course, you know, Angela Okutoi won the African Games gold medal, which technically qualified her for Paris 2024. However, there is a requirement she must fulfill, and that is to get to top 400 in the world ranking. And so since African Games to now, she's working to try and bring down her to increase her points and bring down her ranking to 400.
What's her ranking currently?
It's 500. So there are two rankings. There's the WTA ranking, she's about 500 and something. On the road to Paris ranking, she's about maybe 502 maybe. But yesterday she won her match. She's playing a tournament in the US. So that always means every time she wins a match, it means she collects more points.
And there's no universality in this one.
So there is, but the universality usually goes to defending champions who didn't make it, or a top athlete. So with tennis it's a bit difficult. However, we are applying for universality just in the case that she does not reach the 400.
You know, we understand that you have an onerous task. We do understand, because you are trying to pick up an institution from, I'm not going to say the ashes, but from the difficulties that have been synonymous with it. However, the athlete, the sports individual, and the interest. We have seen corporate institutions in this country rallying behind sports. We've seen it. There are others who are synonymous with sports and have been. Our national airlines have done a sterling job despite the difficult and complications that they've had. Surely there must be a winning formula where the dire straits, and Bonamtuk, you described it well. I, as a former rugby player, I understand, I feel the pain. How do you ensure that we don't dim the capacities and the possibilities of these budding athletes who have brought so much glory to this country? Because when it comes to talent and the individual efforts, that one is clear for everybody to see. Now that additional push that will guarantee we become a powerhouse. Because we are known, Kenya is known. But how do we then move to the level where in the running rankings, it is clear we are among the best. But how do we ensure that when we look at the podium ranking in the Olympics, okay, that the other sports where we do not have participants, we actually have them there and we move them up to that level?
You're right about the corporate support. This time, the Kenya Brewers Limited, through its Tusker brand, came and took exactly that route. They started supporting the sprinters because we are known for middle to long distance runners. So that's why you've been seeing a lot of push on the sprinters and a lot of support, and they're still on that journey. The second one where they are putting their support is the teams which we were hoping to qualify, like the basketball 3x3, because that was one of the objectives, to be able to do it. So that is going on. Safaricom has also come on board, and one of the things which Safaricom is doing, again in line with what you say, that we need to rally Kenyans behind the team, and they'll be unveiling quite a number of activities, programs, promotions, to get as many Kenyans first to know about the athletes, to know how they got into it, like you correctly said, and then to rally everybody behind it. Small steps, critical improvements, big wins for the athletes, because they can be able to get the support. What we have to keep encouraging is that it does not stop with the end of the Olympics. It goes on to the next cycle, so that we can be able to support and ensure that the welfare of athletes keeps on improving, because they're already doing quite a bit for our country.
I want to come back to the question of interference. Do you experience interference from some federations that are, feel that they have muscle than others, and then B, government? Not interference really, but pressure. We want you to do these things this way in your preparation for the Olympics, this and the other. Do you get that kind of pressure?
Not this time round. This time round, I think government has really allowed us the free space to operate. We've also worked a lot with the federations. They have their own mandate within which they have to make decisions and implement them, and then there is the level at which we can be able to take up and do it. Probably to go beyond that question is to say that the bit which we would hope people would understand more is how the Olympics are run. A lot of people come out there, and probably that's why the J Riders term came, and they say, I need to go to the Olympics. People don't just go to the Olympics. You pay, you get your tickets and go, but not under somebody else's bill. To go to the Olympics, you have to work very hard as an athlete and qualify. In fact, even the officials, for them to go to Olympics is subject to the number of athletes. We all pray for more athletes to qualify, because it gives more officials, even coaches, team managers, physiotherapists, doctors. The more athletes qualify, the more those opportunities arise. So our hope, and that's why we're very grateful for this opportunity, is to get people to understand Olympics is not an outing. Olympics is the epitome of sports. Out of the million of athletes, only 10,600 of the very best
in the world.
Secondly, it's also to appreciate as Kenyans, even participation. Qualifying to go to the Olympics is great. I know we like medals, and medals are good, and we hope we'll be able to get good medals, but participation, qualifying to be among that elite team, is something to applaud and celebrate.
As Kenyans, as taxpayers, we are looking for return on investment, our position on the medals. But thank you very much for joining us today. We have started a series on the journey for Kenya heading into Paris 2024. That's why we're joined by Francis Mutuku, the Secretary General of the National Olympics Committee, and Wanjiru Karani, who is the CEO of the Team Kenya Paris Olympics. Thank you very much for tuning in. Have a lovely day and a lovely weekend. It's 10 a.m.